Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 173. I am Peter, and joining me as always on this journey, he has LV on his hat, which stands for Love Vector. Matt's here.
Boom. I was like, Pete, don't go the other direction. It's not true, but don't go the other one.
Actually, I take it back. Love Velociraptor. That's what I'm going with.
Again, not false. That said, not my favorite dinosaur. Definitely Triceratops, but still, that was really cool.
Triceratops.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Triceratops.
Well, if it said LT, I went with Triceratops, but the one dinosaur I could think of with a V.
Yeah.
It was the Velociraptor. Connor's here too.
Yeah, I do not appreciate the level of enthusiasm that Peter started this off with, because we can only go downhill from here.
So wait, real quick, Pete? What's your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I was into dinosaurs a lot as a kid. Obviously,
I was going to say I'm not 6, so I don't have a favorite dinosaur.
Around
Not 6.
Around the Jurassic Park days, which is the first movie I saw in the theater, I was really into dinosaurs. It's hard not to love the T-Rex, but I was always quite fond of the old Stegosaurus. I thought that had a cool back.
Yeah. You got the spikes. Double mohawk down the back, spikes on the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Connor?
I like the one that was like the Stegosaurus, but it was smaller spikes. And it had almost like a club on the tail.
Yeah, that's an Ankylosaurus.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, also looks like Anguirus from Godzilla.
That's the one.
Yep.
I could have told you that when I was 6.
Yeah. So when I wanted to be a paleontologist, and that was my set from like 4th grade to 7th grade, and then my dad's like, cut that out. You're gonna be a lawyer or a doctor. Because they're going to find all of the dinosaur bones by the time.
How disappointed your father must be. He's praying for paleontologists at this point.
In fact, the reason I went to study film instead was kind of an FU to dear old dad, because he was going to meddle anyways, and I thought...
Teenage rebellion at its finest.
Yes.
Yeah, right? I was like, no, I like movies. You take me to the movies every weekend, Dad? That's what I'm going to do.
Joe, I love that we got a tweet today complaining about all the tangent from a new listener who wasn't really fond of it, and we literally didn't even get to this is a DC Comics podcast before Matt went deep into dinosaur talk. So, yes, we are a DC Comics podcast. We talk about comic books on this show, and coming up on this week's show, Batman 79, Superman 15, Justice League 32, Aquaman 52, Supergirl 34, Jimmy Olsen number 3, Lex Luthor You're the Villain number 1. Plus, me and Connor have Patreon picks to take care of. So Connor's going to be talking about Red Hood Outlaw 36, and I'll be talking about X-Men number 6. So you'll notice there that none of us tried Inferior 5. I actually did read the first little chunk of it and made a call. It wasn't bad. Jeff Lemire, was a good writer, but
pretty sure Lemire only did the backup. She was tweeting about it this week.
Well,
it wasn't credited that way. It definitely wasn't credited that way, because it was.
I'm sure he tweeted that.
It was credited as Giffen and Lemire did the story, but Lemire did the script. That's what it says in the credits for the main story.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I had heard, that it was a group effort out of him and Giffen.
But it's a very standalone, separate little thing, which I don't think is in continuity with current continuity or anything like that. Which is not to say is bad, but
no, that's kind of Lemire's jam, right? Like out of continuity.
Yeah.
Did you guys get through Invasion?
I've never read Invasion. No.
Okay. I read Invasion a while back.
Yeah, I knew you guys were planning. You wanted to kind of read that before, just to be fresh, but
I never had time yet.
I'd read it before this book was announced.
Gotcha.
So I did try that, and then despite the fact that I really wanted to make a point of reading Flash Forward issue 1, when push came to shove, when time was getting tight, it was one of the first things to go off the list. Let's be honest, because it was a Lobdell book with booth art.
I work around young teens, and I always try to tell them, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So for Flash Forward, something that I haven't read, but a creative team I do not want to read or check out, I will say it has a wonderful cover.
Yeah, I was going to say, there is objectively the only downside to Pete not reading it for the show.
Yep.
Isn't that, okay, there's no coverage of it, because we all know what we're going to think about it anyway. It's the fact that it's no longer part of the show, so it's ineligible for cover of the week. And and Doc Shane is getting robbed.
I'm so sorry, but
Shayner's art is fantastic.
I have to make a stand. I have to make a stand somewhere. And a Lobdell Brett Booth book is where I make my goddamn stand.
That's the line.
That's the line. So, yes. But hey, so we actually have quite a healthy week 3 for a change, mainly because Superman and Supergirl are both this week for some reason. But because of that, we didn't ask for questions this week. But by all means, still send your questions to mftvquestions@gmail.com. We'll let them pile up. We'll ask for them again on Twitter when we have an episode we know needs questions. But we will have some questions at some point. Just not this month, because week 3 is actually quite busy.
But even more important than any of the comics, today is Batman Day.
That's right. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Isn't that right, Matt?
No. False.
Before we started, we all got a glimpse. Matt's wife is sporting a Batman shirt for today because she's celebrating.
Yeah. To be fair, she's volunteering at the shelter. That's a shirt she doesn't carry. Gets all dirty from the shelter.
No, all I'm hearing from this is that she is doing heroic volunteer work as Batman. That's all I'm hearing from this. She's being Batman for Batman Day.
She probably could have left the mask at home, but whatever. That said, one of the things that we did hit it off with back when we first got together with Batman the Animated Series, which is something of Batman I will be positive about, because I'm into this character now. It's like Hulk Hogan. I have to hate Batman. It's just part of it, brother.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Although, did you see that AEW put out a Batman is all elite image on Twitter for Batman Day?
Looks like I'm all NXT from here on out. How dare you, AEW? Heel move indeed.
Yes, I know what this means.
Yes. Pretty soon we're gonna have Connor talking in those terms just because it makes sense story wise, and then it'll be a victory.
They're not even registering in my brain as words; they're just things you say that are unintelligible. It is basically a foreign language.
I feel like, Connor, you've heard it enough at this point that you're almost willfully trying to remain ignorant just for the sake of staying in character.
I'm just not paying any attention. It's like, you when you watch a foreign film and there's subtitles.
No.
Like, when you watch a foreign film and there's subtitles on, if you don't speak the language already or you're not actively trying to learn the language, you're not even listening to the words they're saying. You're just reading it and hearing the inflections. You're not actually hearing the words. That's what it's like when you guys talk about wrestling.
That is an entire language, right? Wrestling terminology is still mostly the same language, just with the odd phrase here or there.
It is, and my mind just goes blank whenever you start talking.
I want to hear that. What was that movie you had me watch, Pete, when we did the other show? It was the Korean film. I think it was Korean. With the brother sister. Sister sick. Brother, tries to, Is
this a Miike film?
Maybe. You have to remember, it was like one of the only, foreign language movies we did there. Well, that's not true because we also did Diabolique.
Yeah, you have to give me more than this. I'm sure I'll know the movie, but like.
Oh, I know the one he's on about. It's the two people in the house.
Vengeance? Yeah, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
No.
Oh yeah, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Yeah. Okay, yes.
There we go. The titles get jumbled in my head.
It was definitely another one that you made Matt watch.
Korean?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I've only seen a couple of Korean films. That said, my point to that one was the director that handles that so well that I don't know Korean. I don't. It's
don't say
not
that.
even close.
You don't say.
Yeah. It's not even close. It's not like with Japan where I'm picking up terms and cadence from New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? But the director handles it so well that through the actors of facial expressions and not, I can still get the gist. So.
But you had subtitles turned on though, right? Like you were still.
Remember, I couldn't find it, and so the one version I did find was subtitle free, and I watched half of it. Not half, maybe about a quarter of it without subtitles. And I had to go back and restart it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're like, or somehow the subtitles got shut off, and you're like, no, you have to turn them on this way. Because it was on some app that I wasn't familiar with that I downloaded just to watch it.
This is
Yeah.
This is also. I don't want to gloss over the fact that Matt just said that he kind of gets some Japanese because he watches Japanese wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
There was a phrase in there along those lines at the start of that story.
I'm willing to bet he doesn't.
I know what Ichiban means. Thank you.
Konnichiwa.
Arigato mas.
There you
Come
go.
on. Okay.
Can you actually translate this, or are they just words that you've phonetically?
Ichiban is number one. Arigato mas, I think, is thank you.
Yeah, konnichiwa is basically just hello, good day.
Hello. Yeah. So, yeah.
The mustache is you're welcome.
Yeah. My stepdad is...
I swear it sounded like Pete said, "Look into my stash."
No, the reason why I remember that is because it sounds like "Don't touch the mustache."
Yeah. The only reason I know also my stepdad was teaching me some conversational stuff because he's fluent. He was a linguist for the government at one point. So he's
Man,
fluent
Matt really was a
languages.
disappointment, wasn't he?
I said stepdad, not actual dad. So it's different, you know.
I'm sure he was disappointed in you too.
No, he's fine with it. So I think.
Oh dear, I don't even know. So yeah, comic books news. DC Comics is the thing.
What's in the news?
That happened this week.
Stuff.
Yeah, what is in the news? Well, in the news, the big thing. Connor's got a couple of delays to talk about, but I will hit you with the big stories first. Is that you remember there was some weird thing? Birds of Prey issue 3 wasn't solicited.
Yeah. Azarello Lupacino.
Yep.
Doing Birds
And
of Prey.
Azarello was being a bit weird about it on Twitter, and we were a little concerned.
Yeah, well, it turns out the entire book has been delayed now till 2020, and the reason for this is that they're actually rebranding it as a Black Label book, and it is going to be in the adult line. So,
Azarello just wanted to add cuss words and excessive violence.
I bet the first issue, basically nothing is different. It's just that they went, well, we can delay it because I mean the Birds of Prey movie's out in February, I want to say.
Yeah.
So they want to just launch around that, which makes sense.
Yeah. They are replacing the cover for issue 1.
Okay. I mean, this doesn't change anything. I'm still going to get it.
It's still Azarello and Lupacino. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Interestingly...
and now
I was going to say, interestingly, they phrase it as upscaling it to Black Label. And while that might not mean anything, there is a bit of speculation that upscaling might also mean an increase in price, because it's more of a prestige thing.
It could also mean an upscale in the physical size, because we've seen some Black Label books be, different sizes.
Up there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that would mean changing the artwork if it's a different format.
I just... Yeah, and I've read enough Azarello that it's usually not... His adult content tends to be more like, 80s action adult content.
Yeah, it's not super edgy
salacious.
for the sake of edgy.
Yeah. So, and that's fine. I mean, if you have Huntress telling people to F off, because she's angry, that's fine.
I will say, I don't think this is the right book for this, but I mean, I've made my grievances about the direction of Birds of Prey when this book got announced.
I've seen people saying, Birds of Prey should never be like this. I'm like, well, why not? I mind it.
Especially in a Black Label setting. Why not?
People are saying Birds of... I saw a thread on Twitter where people saying Birds of Prey should only ever be family friendly because it's Birds of Prey, and I just fundamentally disagree with that.
I don't know if I do disagree with that. I actually think I'm fine with that notion, because Birds of Prey has always been about this sort of friendly, this family between the characters, and a lot of it is about giving younger girls like a team to look up to, and putting it in a Black Label setting turns it into something for adults, right? It turns it into something for your edgier fans.
I'm not worried about this because DC are doing so well with DC superhero girls. That is doing so well at the young.
Well, no, it's not about having enough content that appeals to a kid-friendly audience. It's about taking one property that's maybe not right for that.
Permanently, is it? It's not. This is always going to be an adult thing. It's this.
I'm not pissed about it. I'm just saying I get the logic behind it. Because I don't think this. I don't like the tone of this movie. I don't like where the movie's going. Which, by the way, I hate the poster. The poster that came out this week. I think it looks like garbage. I'll say it right now.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the Suicide Squad.
It's a giant Harley Quinn face, and all the other characters are like floating around her with wings as if they're like birds going around her head.
Hey, it's not fun when they wedge someone into somewhere that kind of doesn't belong there, is it?
I agree. What are you referring to?
They do this shit with Batman all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Harley Quinn in a lot of ways has become the female Batman for DC in a weird way.
No, she is. I was talking to two of my friends at the shop this week and talking about how a lot of them are echoing Pete in that they're kind of tired of Harley being, like Birds of Prey. My friend Phil was like, he's been reading Birds of Prey since the beginning. I think he has the entire...
Since been
basically, Birds of Prey's ever been, he has it. And that was his thing, that Harley Quinn was never a factor. And that he'd rather just see her pop up in Suicide Squad, where that's less, I don't want to say less meaningful, but,
here's the thing, though. Less impact. She wasn't even a part of Suicide Squad till the New 52.
She fits there better, though.
My point.
She just does. She fits in Suicide Squad much better.
We haven't seen her in
Birds
Birds of Prey yet, so we don't know that.
So, so he was very much...
Well, no, you're saying that based on just the movie, though. I don't think she belongs in Birds of Prey blanket.
Well, we haven't. But that's what I'm saying. We haven't seen the movie. We haven't seen any of the comics with her in Birds of Prey. We have not seen any instance.
That doesn't change the fact that she's been shoved in there, though. She has been shoved in there across the board. Because let's be honest, the only reason why she's shoved into the comic is because they're doing it in the movie and they want it to kind of line up.
Probably, but if Azzarello writes it and it's good, I'm quite happy with that. That doesn't concern me.
Well, no, I'm not happy with it because Barbara Gordon is supposed to be a big part of Birds of Prey and she's been shoved out because now it's Harley Quinn's story. And that's the thing, that's part of why I hate that poster, is because it's making it even more clear this is a Harley Quinn movie with some characters from Birds of Prey guest starring, none of whom look like their characters.
I mean, I don't even know for sure if it will be a Harley Quinn movie. They're marketing it as Harley Quinn because it's the thing that people know and it will sell. I don't know if that's actually how it will be in the movie as a whole.
Maybe it won't be. I still hate everyone's dressed, though, for the record.
I just... my whole point in my story I was getting to before you guys, feuded off there.
Yeah, sorry, Matt.
Was that when they relaunched with New 52, Jim Lee, as co-publisher, had said they wanted Harley to be this fourth pillar. And I feel like they kind of got away from that. Like, yeah, she was in Suicide Squad early on, and she had her own book and whatnot, but she really hasn't had much of an impact in the DCU as a whole. And now, they're putting her in with the movie, and it's kind of like a spin-off featuring the Birds of Prey.
From a financial standpoint, I get what he's saying, but I think she can never really truly be the fourth pillar in universe because she's too much like their Deadpool. She's too meta. Her characterization changes in every book she's in. Like, you read Harley Quinn, the solo ongoing versus one of the minis versus Suicide Squad at any given time, and they're all different.
I
will defend that the latest mini, that Harley and Ivy, felt like the same Harley as in the solo book.
Okay, so two match, but it doesn't change the fact that typically any given time, two or three of them don't.
Our friend James was talking about this in the group this week, or maybe it was last week, but about Harley not being consistent. Like, he feels there's 6 different Harleys running around the DCU. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to have 3 Jokers, but we have also 6 Harleys. So
2 for each Joker, just like White Knight.
Yeah. So, which is still one of my favorite story things from that. That there was 2 Harleys and Joker never noticed, and we have our Paul Dini Harley, the one that I'm more, fond of.
And then you've got New 52 onwards Harley.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy with Harley being around at all times. I don't want her shoved in and taking away from other characters where it should be their story to shine. And I realised that, we're getting a Batgirl movie, apparently, if that ever happens, because, all these movies seem to, just never happen.
Fizzle out. Yeah.
Where's that Flash movie? We're on our 6th director yet, I think. What's going on?
Something like that.
So it sucks in that level. Like, I'm always going to be a little bit miffed at this Birds of Prey movie just because it should be Barbara Gordon putting this together and leading the team. It just should be, and it not being that is infuriating. So
I'm just happy to see Ewan McGregor in the comic book movie. I like that guy a lot.
Yeah.
Like I've said, it might come to February. I might watch this and go, do you know what? That was shit. And I'll take all this back. But until then...
Yeah, but you're excited for Shazam. You still haven't seen that, so I don't trust your word on going to movies.
I know. Hey, February's usually a bit of a quieter time at work for me, though.
It
so
is.
I might get in Shazam came out at a bad time.
This week, 2 movies came out. Rambo: Last Blood came out, and Ad Astra came out. And I kind of had to see Ad Astra for the sci-fi movie podcast that we do, the Ace. And I'm glad that choice was made for me, because everything I've heard about Rambo: Last Blood has been extremely negative.
Side tangent, real quick. Was Ad Astra worth it?
I would recommend going to see it in the theater. The visuals. Okay.
So my cinema is showing it on the IMAX. Would it be worth the IMAX?
Yes, do it in IMAX.
Because I just know my favorite thing to come out of this is someone goes, if you anagram Ad Astra, you get Space Dad. And that's basically the movie. Also,
do you know what's bad? I've not even seen the trailer for Ad Astra. I just thought, that looks kind of interesting, on premise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, to me, it looked like First Man meets Interstellar. That's what the tone of the movie looked like. And I don't know. I just heard about Rambo. Someone that I really trust when it comes to 80s style action movies went and saw it, and his silver lining was, at least it wasn't that long.
That's always a good bit of...
I didn't go, hey, bud, thanks for saving me $8.
In that case, I will probably go see Ad Astra on Wednesday, and Paige can go and watch her stupid Downton Abbey movie.
It's Downtown Abbey. I know how to read.
Hey, Mac's cracking a joke here, but for the longest time I thought it was Downtown Abbey until I just one day noticed that it was spelled slightly differently.
Well, I got into an argument with someone over that, and then they pulled up the font, and I was like, oh shit, it does say Downton. But those were my exact words. It's downtown. I know how to read.
And then you look like a dick.
Which, that's the title of my autobiography.
Pretty much.
Oh, Connor, there was some delays you were going to tell us about.
Tell
us about how Shazam's delayed.
No, not Shazam.
No, allegedly that's actually still coming out next week. I'm not sure I believe it, but I mean, apparently. It's just Batman versus Ra's al Ghul issues 2 and 3. This is the Neil Adams book that none of us tried because it's a modern Neil Adams book. Issue 2 has been pushed back 3 weeks to October 9th, and then issue 3 pushed back another 2 weeks to October 30th. So we'll probably get a further delay on issue 3 at some point. And then it says 4 remains set for a November 20th date, but they actually didn't solicit an issue for December, so I can just see them all kind of slotting back a little bit. The one that I think we'd be more interested in is Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 2 has been pushed back by a month.
Okay.
Because it was supposed to come out November 6th. It's now coming out December 4th. The reason that's a little concerning, this is one of those prestige ones. This was 40 pages. This is the one that was 9 issues that was allegedly monthly. And we were all like, okay, that seems ambitious.
Well, maybe it'll switch to every other month now, and that just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Cami Garcia's one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was like oversized, but supposedly monthly. So at least... I mean, honestly, I'm okay with one of these Black Label books when every other month for the bigger issues. Sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Should have just solicited that way in the first place.
So Connor, not to step on later, but Shazam is still solicited for next week. So.
Hey.
Yeah. I I'm
gonna have to dig number 6 out of storage so I can refresh myself.
Are you actually bothering?
Oh yeah.
He's going to read
it, bro.
He's going to read it.
Done. It's Jeff Johns. My patron saint in comic books.
Despite the fact that like 2 weeks ago there was like a weird announcement where we're not going to read Shazam when it comes back because blah 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 blah. It's been delayed too much.
Foresight, I didn't realize it would be 2 weeks. So, again, and then I look like a dick.
And then I look like a dick. The newest T-shirt coming from Mailfizz TV, Mac's signature shirt. And then I look like a dick. Although. Admittedly, though, I kind of want Matt's first shirt to be "As We Learned in Interstellar." I like that as his catchphrase. But hey, so what we're going to do now, guys, and this is your favorite segment every month. This is sales figures for the previous month.
Is it that time of month already?
It is. We're going to look.
It's House of X. It's Powers of X.
We're going to look at
absolute carnage
sales figures for August 2019.
I don't know.
So, what's your guesses for number 1?
House and or Powers of X.
House of X. What?
I know what it's not. I can tell you with certainty what it's not, and it's not Marvel 1000.
Oh, sure, yes. But I mean,
is it one of the things that we said?
It actually is one of the things you've already said.
It's the Absolute Carnage.
Absolute Carnage is number one.
Yeah, all those damn variants.
$8.
Anytime there's a ton of variants, you know it's going to sell a lot.
$8 book, 233,000 copies. So that is Absolute Carnage.
I can say 233,000 variants.
To be fair, actually a very good issue, so I'm not too angry at that.
One idiot bought all 230,000 variants, and that's why it sold them.
And that idiot wasn't Matt.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think it was. What would you think number 2 is?
House of X.
Powers of
X. Spider-Man.
Is this Marvel 1000?
This is Marvel 1000, which is a $10 book with 206,000 copies. Which, by the way, didn't Akira-san said that he wanted to break the million barrier again with this.
Yes. So, well, 206,000 is pretty impressive. I mean, by today's standards, that's a very successful book.
Although that said, though, how many variants did they have to up this number?
Oh, so many.
Yeah, they were cooking the books on this, and they only got to 206. So
I'm kind of intrigued as to if there's a hard number on how many variants, because I'm concerned that it might be into the triple figures.
Shouldn't we call him Yoshida-san, Pete?
Why?
Shouldn't the honorific be on the last name, not the first name?
Yeah, but I could never remember his last name. He's fake.
I just looked it up. It's Akira Yoshida.
Okay.
So henceforth, he should be Yoshida-san.
Yoshida-san. Okay. This is CB Cebulski. Yeah. Marvel's editor-in-chief.
Last count that I on a Google from an article from mid-August said there was 33 covers and counting.
Woo.
So
number 3, I'll tell you, it's a DC book.
Doomsday Clock.
Was it a Doomsday Clock in August?
Was that September? No. Oh Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like last week.
Batman 75.
No, it was a number 1.
Oh, okay.
I'm just impressed with my math going back to see if that was in August.
We have.
I'm terrible at this. White Knight.
No.
That was issue 2.
Issue 2, that was it.
Damn it. A man can hope.
We had like one big number 1 last month.
Yeah, I don't pay attention.
Okay, I'll tell you. It was Batman Superman, number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That exists.
Yes, 156,000 copies. I ain't too bad, actually, for that. I mean, I'm sure there was some variants, of course, but DC don't tend to play that game as much as Marvel do.
Nowhere near as extreme. They'll have 2 or 3, usually.
This is a regular place comic as well, by the way, because the first 2 were $8 and $10 each. So this was a normal $3.99 comic. Number 4, what are you guessing?
House of
Batman
X.
75.
It is House of X, number 3.
Damn.
$4.99 book, 109,000 copies. Number 5 is Powers of X, number 2, 107,000 copies. Number 6 is House of X, number 2, 101,000 copies. Number 7 is Powers of X, issue 3, 100,000 copies.
I forgot they were double shipping.
Yeah.
They're every week. Yeah.
Powers of X 2 was next? Or House of X 2?
So the order went this. It was House of X 3, and then Powers of X 2, and then House of X 2, and then Powers of X 3. So they kind of switched around their order, if that makes sense.
I'm trying to think, because I know House of X 2 was the big reveal about a certain character. And I know people were going back and getting that. I don't know if that impacts the sales figures at all.
Well, it's not that much of a difference. So I wonder if House of X 3 just had a few more variants that were popular, maybe.
Yeah, well, no, because I was trying to see about the placement, but you said Powers of X first, not House. So...
So all the 2s and 3s of House and Powers of X all broke 100,000. Although Power of X issue 3 is just 100. It's 100,267 copies.
So probably not next month.
So probably next month it'll probably dip below 100,000. But I mean, hey, the big start for the Hickman X-Men books. I can't stand Hickman, so I ain't touching it. But
yeah, I'm still stuck on Powers of X 2 just because it's dense.
I have no interest in ever touching it.
Not that it's hard to get to, but also I can only read my Marvel stuff when I'm not, doing stuff for the show.
Yeah.
So, it gets put on back order. Plus, I wanted to catch up on Cap, Immortal Hulk, and
the actual good books. Yeah.
So they're the ones that said, I'm enjoying this take on X-Men. I don't know what exactly is going on, but I think that's the point.
I'm enjoying. It makes no sense, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly.
So number 8 is issue 2 of Absolute Carnage, which is a $4.99 book. So again, we're looking at this thing where most of Marvel's books are at $4.99 now. Even issue 2 of this is $4.99, and that sold 94,000, down from 233,000.
I will say, in its defense of being $4.99, is I think it's still kind of classed as an event book. So DC are probably going to be at the same point as that with our next event. So yeah,
probably. And then number 9 is finally another DC book, Batman 77 with 81,000 copies, and then number 10 is Batman Curse of the White Knight issue 2 with 70.
I love. Yes. Matt was so proud about Batman 75 being.
Yeah, it wasn't right.
Yeah. And it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
So that's 74,000 copies for Curse of the White Knight 2. And I think there's only one Batman because that was the month where the second one got pushed.
Yeah.
Out of the month, so it's just one Batman. Yeah, and then from there, yeah, some of these Absolute Carnage tie-ins are in the teens, doing 60,000+ copies. So Marvel are fairly raking in the nose. Yes, it is worth mentioning. I think the cardstock covers of the DC books are counting separately again.
Well, that's good.
Is there anything that adds up?
For example, there is 2 Batman issues, but that's why 76 is nowhere number 77, because the cardstock variant's 26,000 copies, and presumably the regular one's
somewhere around 70,000.
Yeah, somewhere above that. That adds up to a whatever number. So we actually have this weird month where a lot of DC's books are lower than they should be because they're split into 2 categories as opposed to just being counted as one book.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still think Marvel would have dominated the top 10 because they've got all those number 1s and their Hickman X-Men.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So it is worth pointing that out.
Hey. As long as DC stays consistent, that's all I care about. Don't chase. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. So yeah, and Batman 232 facsimile edition cracked the top 100 at number 99 with 21,000 copies, which outsold. What was the next DC book, just to give it some perspective? Red Hood Outlaw outsold Red Hood Outlaw.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
That's pretty funny, actually. Here's an issue of Batman from 50 years ago.
Guess that's what happens when it's only $1. Shops like, yeah, screw it.
That's true. It's much cheaper. That is true. It's a quarter of the price. So I suppose you can't really.
Now Lobdell's got to go ruin another red themed character, but this one I love.
What? What?
Huh?
I thought you were going to make a point there at the end.
Character.
He did make a point.
Character that I love, so I can't read it.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
It's red hair. It's
no, I thought you said red themed, and I was like, so who are you talking about? Tell me who you're talking about.
Red topped.
Red top.
I think you did say red themed, but I mean, that still made sense.
Yeah.
All right. All right. There you go. Those are sales figures for the month. Marvel fairly dominating the high spots with its big books. But again, a lot of DC's books are actually split in 2, as opposed because regular variants count the same amount, but these cardstock ones for some reason are being counted as separate items because of different price.
Can you imagine if like Marvel 1000 separated all its variants out?
Oh yeah, I'd love to see where the top one would rank, because it'd be the regular cover probably. And where would it land? Yeah.
Terribly.
Yeah. Which is funny that the cardstock goes differently, because the weird thing about regular variants is that if you have those ones that are like 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100, is those end up being sold for much higher, but they don't get counted that way in Diamond's system.
It's because officially cover price is still $3.99, $4.99, etc. It's still the same price as the regular issue officially. It's just that the shops then choose to sell it at 25 times the cover.
Well, they have to justify ordering all the copies.
No, exactly. So no one really complains that the shops do that, because we all understand the the basic business model of, well, this is how they acquired it. They have to cover that.
I mean, theoretically, if it's a book that sells well enough and they were going to order that many anyway, you could argue they shouldn't overcharge for it. But because they usually have to do it, they get away with it.
Yeah,
it makes some extra money out of it. But yeah, sometimes they'll order the 100 copies, even though they'll only sell 15 of them. But they'll charge enough on the variant cover to recoup the cost of all the other copies that they've just now got in the bargain bin.
Exactly, and I don't blame them for that. If people are willing to pay it and cover that cost.
Sure, no. I mean, obviously it's pre-order only. They don't just do that in a whim. They make sure someone wants to buy it first. But
yeah.
But that, of course, can bite them in the back if the person decides not to buy it.
It's always sad seeing, not just for variants, but when a comic store posts a stack of someone's uncollected books.
Oh yeah.
And like you realize just how much just one person not picking up the books for a couple of months can cost.
I'm going to play some devil's advocate for that though, because I do actually think the entire system's screwed, and it shouldn't be on the consumer to have to make promises about what they're going to buy. It should not work like that.
No, it shouldn't. But also, just don't be a dick and tell your shop you don't want it anymore. That you're not gonna come and pick them up.
Oh sure, no, I get it, but it's one of these weird things where there's literally no other medium of any kind where it's on the consumer in any way to make any type of promise, or because I'm someone who with video games actively tells people don't pre-order. No, that's bullshit. You don't have to.
Whereas with comics, you do kind of have to. It's different.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you've said to the shop, "You're hey, I'm gonna get this," and then it comes to the day, and I can't afford it. I changed my mind. I've seen some reviews. I don't want it. That's fair enough. Just tell your shop and they can put it out on sale with all the rest of them instead of holding it for 2 months, and then by the time that you go, well, I guess they're not buying it anymore, it's too late for them.
Yeah. Although if they've ordered a weird copy of some like indie book that no one's ever heard of, and it's like, well, we'll put this out in we'll put issue 7 of Beard Bear Hunter.
Well, Matt will buy that, obviously.
It's called Shirtless Bear Hunter, and I have all 5 of them.
But here's the thing: at that point, they usually just put them in their sale bin, because at least they can get something for it and get rid of the space that it's taking up.
Yeah,
that's the only time I've ever specially ordered something. Is there was a Ribbit cover of Thor that had Viking Thor with Yarnbjorn that looked super dope. And yeah, I special ordered that one. I had to pay a little bit extra for the variant, but I picked it right up. Like I would never stick my shop.
Yeah, like that. Sometimes if I can't get to the shop on the day, I'll just swing by the following week and pick up 2 weeks worth, and they're fine with that. My shop is like, hey, as long as you come once a month, we don't care. No questions asked. And if you're going to be longer than that, we can mail them to you. That's fine as well. But just, don't leave it 2 or 3 months with them ordering 3 months worth of copies for you to just not show up, because that's just shitty.
Or just go all digital like me and don't worry about it.
But tell your shop first.
What?
If you're going to go all digital, tell your shop you're doing that.
Oh,
so they
sure,
don't ordering your books.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this is why I've never had a pull list at a shop, because I hate... It feels like pressure. I hate it. I hate being committed to anything.
Gee, this explains a lot.
Well, no, I hate being committed to anything like this.
He says 173 episodes into this show.
No, I'm good at committing to stuff like this. I hate committing to things like that where...
sometimes I'm like, I don't want to go to the shop on Wednesday, but also it's like, hey, I don't mind, because it's different. The reason I hate going there is because from my new house to my shop, it is a gauntlet of just idiot drivers and bad stoplights. So... It sucks. It has nothing to do with the shop. But sometimes I don't want to go. I get that. He doesn't want to be told what to do.
I like flexibility. I like being able to just get things on a whim, and I like being able to change my mind at the last minute without feeling guilty about it. So digital's perfect.
Oh, jeez.
I don't have to subscribe to a damn thing. I just go on a Wednesday and I just get what I want, or days later, as I often do. But does it have to be Wednesday?
More often than not, the Saturday morning.
I don't have to worry about it, because nothing will be sold out. It's perfect. So anyway, that'll wrap up the news and sales and whatever else we talked about in the last 35 minutes. So that will take us on to our first comic book discussion of the week, which is Batman issue 79, Tom King and Clay Mann once again. And this is On a Beach Part 2 of the City of Bane plot.
Well, kind of Part 2.
Also kind of a prequel.
Yeah.
Well,
Kind of like
what's been going on?
5.
Well, this is the thing. I actually... Well, no, I basically, as soon as it specified that this was set before 77, I think it's clear the last issue was as well. I almost feel like they heard the complaints that it was weird that this took place after the Alfred thing, and we're making it clear, no, all this stuff with Batman and Catwoman was happening before that moment.
Which I said last week, too.
I was not sure when this showed up, because it made it feel weird, because I'm like, well, it didn't say that on the last issue, so was the last issue
Pete just said, no. Like Pete just said, they went through to clarify, and it definitely, the final tag on this adds a little bit of tragedy, which I see why they did it in this order now.
Yeah, and I
kind of suspected.
It still hurts. It's still a pacing complaint overall. Hurts the pacing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it still hurts the pacing. Although I would actually be A-okay with this. I would be A-okay with this if this issue and the last issue were one issue. Because there's beats in the last issue I enjoyed, there's definitely beats in the second half of this issue that I enjoy. I think it just takes too much time between the two issues to do everything it wants to do.
Yeah, this issue definitely... right now I feel the only book that's... Actually, there are none that are immune to this, because I felt like this with Justice League as well. The double shipping, we definitely feel now that there's just issues that you could cut whole subplots out of, and it's not really going to change anything. And like this could have been
one issue. When this started and we're on the beach again, and he's got his Tom Selleck stash, I went, wait, we're still doing this? What? Why are we still doing it? And then we have that ridiculous page where he's doing like one-arm push-ups, and Catwoman's like doing push-ups on his back, and I'm like, okay, this is just a bit silly now.
So either she's really light, or he's like that strong, which doesn't make any sense. Because from what I know from going to the gym, being that size and that strong, like it doesn't. You know what I mean? And I get he's supposed to be peak human, but either that or Catwoman's core is stronger than Batman. Like that's
the first.
That tells me
the first half of this just kind of felt unnecessary. The thing where the guy touches her leg and she punches him, and I like that though. I like it's her attitude. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it on its own. It's just
character stuff. I know, but I'm saying it's a little break. Again, this is something that could have been cut out.
Yeah,
right?
I think the last issue and this issue could have easily been condensed into one issue, because I think them kind of admitting, like, that, going back to the whole boat in the street thing, them admitting that, okay, one's wrong, and it's like, no, technically the street was first, but
they're both right.
Yeah, I thought it was the boat because that's the first time we were in outfit, and then Bruce was like, no, it was the street because, or was the boat, you're right, because I didn't really become Batman until that moment, and you weren't Catwoman until that moment. And then at the end, of course, they agree, hey, how about we say the beach, because that's where we're kind of admitting now.
I really like that sentiment, and this, if it's going to be more of this stuff with Batman and Catwoman, I think I'm down to keep reading King. Connor just had a fit.
Yeah,
he just kicked his microphone.
And maybe the 12-issue series will benefit from just being monthly and not being tied to any schedule like this.
Yeah, if it's Tom King working out marriage stuff in the way that Mr. Miracle was working on mental health, then I'm kind of down for that. But it's by itself.
Which, by the way,
it's not impacting anything.
That full page spread of them going towards the boat on the little the little speeders.
Yeah.
I really like that page. It's really beautiful. Really pretty.
Yeah. They have to go take out Magpie and let Magpie know, and it looks like they have Venom, right? Like,
yeah,
they're importing it to Hawaii. We're gonna assume this is Hawaii based off of the dialect of the locals and whatnot. But it could be some other South Pacific.
Yeah, and it's got that great full page where Magpie's like, "Oh, what sort of message you want to send Bane? You're full." And she's like, "No, he's Batman and I'm Catwoman. We are the message." And you got that full page spread with the moon behind them. This actually has some good beats in it in the back half of the issue. I just wish that this issue and the last issue were condensed into one. So you've got that, and because Bruce even says, "I'm sending in Damian now." We're at that point, so we kind of see, okay, in the timeline, this is just before that issue. So
I guess Damian didn't go off script and just go in.
No, and And so that means Bane played Batman, unless Batman's got an ace up his sleeve, which I'm sure he does.
Well, yeah, this is one of the things.
Batman.
He actually says that Alfred sent the signal. He's safe. So
right.
that tells me that whatever happened to Alfred before is an intentional decoy. Like Alfred's put something in place or knows. It wouldn't surprise me if whoever Alfred is, like, he takes off like a mask and it's actually like Superman or someone who can take the next snap.
I hope it's Plastic Man.
Oh, Plastic Man would be good.
Like, and we see him, and then he goes the other way and goes, "I haven't had a back adjustment like that in 20 years," or whatever. Yeah, I just hope this doesn't mean that that Batman got played, because I'm getting a little bit tired of that. As much as I hate Because Batman, I'm also getting tired of Bane has this edge because of Catwoman not being there.
I think we're at the point now where Batman's
just as lazy.
No, I think we're at the point now where Batman's about to play Bane. Like, the idea that there's some plan here that Bane couldn't have predicted, and that's how he's going to win.
But if not, and it's Batman he overplayed his hand by sending in Damian, and then he's responsible for Alfred's death. That's extra tragedy.
The way this plays to me feels like, no, what happened in that issue was what was meant to happen. It's part of the plan.
As I was going through this too, not to change the subject, but while I was thinking about it, there's that page where he's walking with the sun to his back, with the sunset. The sun looks like the Omega symbol.
It does, yeah.
Right? Okay. So I wonder if that's another thing, like where he's, this is Batman fully formed now.
So you're saying his Batman
Omega
is?
Not Batman is. I mean Omega in being like, this is the final form. This is him back to, where he should have been, versus where he was. But no, I like the sentiment of that last section. There's a couple things with the art that the scene where they're in the store, right? They're stopping the robbery, and Batman's up on the thing. His fingers look like he has claws.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, that's a small thing, but I had a double look and be like, okay, that's definitely not Catwoman because there's a cape.
Catwoman's there stealing the champagne.
Yeah, anything when it's them looking at a sunset, whether it's in costume or not, anything where there's a moon behind them, or most of the art is gorgeous. But yeah, that's a fair point.
There's this 2-page right after that one where it's them taking care of business, and there's stuff with silhouettes, and Catwoman is what's the word I'm looking for? Helping the crying child, comforting. That's the word, right? But then you go up to the next page, and the way that Mann's layouts are, I love how it's broken down by the different actions, and with the pow, and you have the greens and the grays.
Great.
Yeah, and it's credit because, like I say, this issue started me off on the wrong foot because I'm like, oh, we're still doing this stuff, and the first few pages had me feeling kind of like, oh, whatever.
Again, if the last one and this one were one issue, I definitely say it's been one of the best King issues in quite some time. Probably since the Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, but it was spread out over 2. But I will say the final moment. So after they say we met on a beach, yes, we met on a beach. The last panel gave me a little chuckle where she's like, "We agree. Holy shit, Bane's in trouble now." It gave me a bit of a chuckle. So
they have that couple patter, that we liked at Rooftops.
So Car's been very quiet, which is now we're going to go to him and find out how much he absolutely hated it and is going to cut to shreds.
Connor hates comics.
Connor hates comics. #.
See, I don't even hate this. I was just bored, especially coming off the last issue. And then the first half of this issue was just more of that, and I'm like, right, okay. That while I agree there are some objectively nice moments in the back half, I just didn't care anymore. I did 2 full issues of this, and it wasn't enough to win me back over.
This is how I feel about Lord of the Rings. After the first hour of the first movie, I just don't care anymore, and the rest of it's just a slog.
Fair enough. Yeah.
By the time I get to the end of Return, I'm like, oh my god, we've been walking to Mount Doom. This could have been one movie.
Not taking that bait. Not taking it.
Why didn't they just use the Eagles, Pete?
Yeah, why did they use the Eagles?
Oh. Don't you dare. Don't you dare try and make me argue with this one. Yeah.
Alright, well, anyways, I'm going to swing this back round to rating the issue of Batman. I will say, though, for anyone listening to the Comics Podcast, if you want the last 10 minutes of talk about Kevin Smith's films, it'll be on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV as a deleted scene called a bonus bit, which is something I started doing recently. So
that's smart, Pete. That's very smart.
Well, it got to the point where I realised that had been going for like over 6-7 minutes. I'm like, well, I'm cutting this bit out. It'll be on Patreon. The
fine.
dollar tier and up. But anyway, so yeah, it's rating Batman 79 we're on. What are you giving it, Matt?
It was an 8.5. I did enjoy this. A little bit of a filler, but when it hit, it really hit.
Yeah, Connor.
I'm giving it a 5. I'm just bored.
That's fine.
This is a frustrating one for me. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because I really like all the stuff that it does in the back half. I like the beats that it ends on. I just wish this and the last issue were combined into one issue to make it feel less.
I dare say that if they were one issue and they cut out the fat, that could have been like a 9 issue.
No, I agree.
A 9.5 even. I mean, Clay Mann's back on art. Nothing's too dodgy like we saw in Heroes in Crisis, where it was a little bit, a little bit on the grimy side. This stuff I felt, even though Catwoman's walking around in a bikini a lot, none of it's like, hey, look at this. Because anybody that does that with her kind of gets punished for it.
I think the only time I could level that complaint, and maybe somewhat legitimately, is when Catwoman's pulling the necklace off Magpie, and it does just stay on it like an extra panel that it really doesn't need to.
Boobs.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's boobs.
Let me double check that.
There's like the second panel of it. I think is pretty unnecessary to have there.
Yeah.
Cue our second Patreon tangent, talking about our favourite boobs for the next 10 minutes. I kid. That'll take us on to
only
our next...
10 minutes.
That'll take us on to Superman issue 15. Bryan Michael Bendis writing with Ivan Reis on the art. Although Comixology claimed there was like 3 or 4 artists, although the cover only had Reis's name for the actual line work. So, so I'll go with that. But anyway, so this, again, we're still kind of sitting on the introduction of the Legion here. We get, basically, it's kind of like a wrap-up issue, just sort of explaining where everything ends here, where we find out a little bit more about Rogol and how he's being contained, and we find out kind of the setup of this unification, this UN of space, and Superboy being offered this job to, or a job, this position to go with the Legion, and he's going to have to go home and decide on it. He's got a bit of time to decide. And it ends with kind of a joke of like Supergirl saying to him, "Hey, you might want to like sugarcoat this as like a college thing in the future to your mum," because Lois doesn't know about it yet. So it's like, "Hey, you may want to try to sugarcoat this."
And I like how the Legion sets it up like they did with Clark when he was younger, which is now that's all out of continuity because this is the de facto first appearance of the Legion going forward. That they came to Clark because he inspired them. Superboy inspired the Legion.
Can I just say I much prefer it being with John and being with Superboy as opposed to Clark, because I don't like the idea of Clark knowing about the Legion before he becomes Superman. I just don't like that idea.
Well, the whole point of it originally was that he felt so alienated living in Smallville and being this person with his powers that the Legion would come and offer him a chance to just be himself. And they were kind of like his clubhouse, right? You can kind of apply that to John, except that he has Damian, he has the Titans.
I'll be honest, I liked it in that it always gave Clark a bit of extra motivation as to do the right thing, because he's like, hey, I've seen the impact I could have.
I don't like that.
It's a nice thing to keep him going.
No, I hate it, because for me, he has to make the choice to be who he is, no matter how hard it may seem, without knowing that it's going to work. I think...
and I get that that's fine, and that's why I think it worked when John's had him forget about it, right, with the Lightning Saga. And then suddenly, oh no, here they are because someone's been messing with time. And, so it ends up working. But, so here that I do like that it is John now, and that it's almost like Kara said, it's a college program. He can go and come back, as long as time's not broken, which who knows with the way time works in DC. As soon as he get there, he could, not come home for a while because the time sphere broke. But it doesn't mean that we're gonna lose John, which I ever since Bendis came on, those fears have been there, and it just seems
now
like
he's going to be one of the main characters in the Legion of Superheroes book. So
written by Bendis.
Bendis.
So those fears are definitely put to bed, and it doesn't necessarily write him out, because he did, at the end of this, John says he has to go gloat to Damien.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like that. I liked how like he says, "Oh, I'm going to have to like have a serious talk about this." He's like, "Oh yeah, well your mom is like, no, I mean Damien."
Yeah.
So it says next issue we're getting Super Sons. We're getting Damien for an issue,
which should be fun. Also in this we get Zod in his kind of reformation.
Yeah.
To where now he is a de facto tweener, whereas he's like, well, no, we did this all for Krypton, and Superman's kind of like, well, you went in the Phantom Zone, you paid your debt to Krypton. Krypton's no more, so let's do our best to honor its legacy, and I like that.
Yeah, no, he's basically like, yeah, Zod's going to like establish a new Krypton from the ground up and build a legacy. In fact, there's a joke here where someone says, "How many babies you plan on having starting a new Kryptonian race?" He's like,
yeah,
not that way.
Yeah. But I like that. I also, there's a portion that in this Unity Saga story that's being told throughout Superman, we had that future of Unity Day, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone's a little bit older and Superman has a daughter. When the Legion's talking to John, they go, "Can you introduce us to your sister?"
No,
right?
your aunt. It was your aunt.
Your aunt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. So who's this aunt?
I took that as they thought Supergirl was his aunt because of the age difference.
Okay. That's on my brain, so I misread this.
Well, I could be wrong, but no one else made sense, and I thought, oh, maybe
it's aunt, not sister. So I'm remembering this wrong.
Yeah. I took it to mean Supergirl because she's a bit older.
Okay.
They thought that was his.
Well,
aunt.
then, who's that character from the future then? That this reminded me of,
You mean
Is
from
this
the dream of the future?
Yeah. Like, are we ever gonna get that? Like, is that just dressing? I don't know. But shoot, now that it's not that.
I mean, because John has no aunts. If you think about it,
Well, he's got Lucy Lane, and that's about it.
Oh, sure, okay. Unless this guy from the future just really has the hots for Lucy Lane.
Well, that's where I thought maybe they're talking about John's sister or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so that's nothing more. But anyways, I like that. I like the Legion being so overwhelmed and we skipped the part where they came early. Their time
4 minutes
calculations.
Because the decision to actually go ahead with this hadn't happened yet, and we kind of messed this up. But it's actually what inspires everyone to it sounds like it works, so we should probably just all agree to this.
Which was Connor's just his point with Superman of the Legion, right? Is the United Planets comes together because of an idea of the future that we know it works. So here we go. We have the Legion superhero reasoning with Superman working out. So
Connie makes the thing.
Yeah.
So
what else happened?
So Unity. Well, the whole scene with Adam Strange, where when Superman hugging him was a nice little touch, if nothing else.
That makes me so worried about Tom King. I feel like this is Bendis going, "Yo, Strange, you're gonna have a rough go of this coming up." So here's a hug from Superman. So
Superman telling Adam what happens, kind of the framing device for a lot of the story, and then of course we find out that Adam Strange tells Superman what's happened to Jor-El is that he's been tried for his crimes, and Superman tries to stick up for him a little bit. And he's like, look, he's basically started wars, he's done a lot of nefarious things. There's like no protecting him. And he's like, okay, can I go and see him then? Where's he incarcerated? And we find out that his punishment was to be sent back in time to the moment he left. On Krypton. So Jor-El has actually died with the explosion of Krypton. But there is this emotional beat where he sees himself and his wife and says he did it. He united the universe, or he united the planets. He
brings the universe together.
Yeah.
He does it.
With a tear in his eye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it got a little bit dusty. I was reading that.
It's a good moment. It's one of these things where I don't necessarily like the idea that Jor-El, survived. When he was first revealed as Mr. Oz, and it was this kind of thing, like, it's this thing where we can't just let people be dead. This, of course, kind of puts it back in place again and fits it. It does kind of change Jor-El's character, or how we think of Jor-El a little bit, that he went on to do all this stuff. But Yeah, so it does that, and we find out that Jor-El actually created Rogol-Zar. Yeah, Jor-El's behind it.
He's kind of Frankenstein's monster that way, and that we still are unclear about why this dark, what are they called?
Dark Circle, whatever they were, yeah.
Yeah, the Circle, that's what it was. Why they would create Rogol-Zar and why he hates the Kryptonians, so I'm sure we'll get that later.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more Rogol-Zar backstory to come at some point, but I think we'll be taking a break from him for a little while, whilst we focus on other stuff.
That's cool.
Superman, Jor-El rather, when he's been sentenced, he's got those rings around him, the Superman the movie rings, which is cool. I do dig that. So, it's a really nice beat, and we get that full page as Krypton going again, which we see it all the time in comics, but it felt more justified here than normal because we just sent someone back to that, moment to die.
And you see the rocket leaving, right? Yeah. There's a screen explosion, but a yellow-red one escaping it, and hooey. Yeah.
So that's a really solid issue, and the final page is the Superman family all flying back to Earth and joking about, speaking to Lois and Damian, and that's where we leave the issue. Joe, it's funny, like, at the start of this issue, I was almost like, hey, like, between Superman and Supergirl last issues and then this issue, it feels like we've been revolving around this one event and the Legion showing up for 3 issues now. I was worried that it was going to feel like it was spinning its wheels a little bit. But this issue actually delivered on everything that it needed. If anything, the last 2 issues, Superman and Supergirl, did suffer a little bit from both being 2 sides of the same thing, and it felt a little bit repetition between them. But
and that's why when we get to Supergirl, it feels so refreshing.
Yeah,
that what we jump back to. But here the ultimate point with the Legion here that I don't like that it didn't get lost is they brought themselves, right. Like, this all happens, and they kind of incept it for it to happen. And it ultimately makes them more important, which I like, because for these characters that have been gone for so long now, Bendis is putting this mark on them between Millennium and the series that's spinning out of this. Like, as a Legion fan, I'm very happy, even though it's not my Legion, that I like the classic Superman era. But it's good, and if it's going to bring people like Pete in that aren't that familiar with the Legion, then by all means, let's do this.
I feel like you said it's going to spin out of this. I feel like it's going to equally spin out of both this and Millennium, because I feel like Rose is going to be there too.
Well, that's what I said when I said this Millennium and then spinning out of this. Like, both of them are lifting that weight together.
Yeah, and I like the idea that John's deciding to go, but it's basically just visiting first. It's not permanent, so.
Yeah.
It opens the door for him to always return later down the line, which is inevitably going to happen at some point.
Exactly. And the cohesion that you feel amongst the super books right now, it definitely feels like a shared universe. And like with the Batman books, we're not reading Detective, but that feels so far and away from King's Run or anything else going on over there that, it feels nice that Superman has what happens here has fallout in Supergirl. But I feel like you could just read Supergirl and you get the beats enough that you wouldn't need, you're not missing out. It just makes it better.
Yeah. If anything, the bigger concern is when you're reading both, you do get a little bit of overlap sometimes, and that, it's a little annoying, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
damn, Bendis.
Hey, that is Superman 15. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm giving this a 9. I really enjoyed this. Ivan Reis art is up there, and again, it got dusty in that moment of Jor-El going back.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot too. I am going to give it an 8.5. I think there's some emotional beats in there. I think the whole idea of Unity Day, the big full page spread of John shouting Unity Day, and this is what this day will be known. The whole idea of everyone coming together under the guise of the Superman family, and how Clark finds out about Jor-El. All that stuff kind of just makes for some really good reading, and it feels like this feels like the true ending to the first 15 issues. It feels like Unity Day is the capper on the Unity saga, which is what this has been up until now. And we're going to maybe start. I mean, I'm sure we're going to deal with John's decision next issue, and then it'll be the issue after that where we really get into some new main Superman book material, because obviously Action's still doing Leviathan stuff and
Leviathan, Naomi,
Yeah. So that'll take us on to Justice League issue 32. Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, writing with Howard. It's not Howard Porter on art. I forgot to write down the artist on this.
No, it is.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
It is Porter.
I assumed I'd copied a flash solicit and forgot to change the artist. Anyway.
No, I'm double checking the title page. Hold on.
Yeah. Double check. Okay, so report. Fair enough. In that case, I'm right. I should never second guess myself again because I'm clearly a genius. But
no, always second guess yourself.
Justice League 32, aka the really good story that's ongoing, except the scenes with Lex and the villains talking to each other. But otherwise, good fun.
I actually like the Lex scenes more in this issue than the last one.
Yeah, I'm with Connor on that one just because it starts to make me feel like Lex is getting played here by Perpetua. Yeah. And he's not as in control of the situation as he thinks he is. Because the way that she talks down to him in these,
it's funny because he's playing Apex Lex, right? He's the Apex Predator,
top dog,
and then he kneels to her and talks about faith, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Well, I think that's why it didn't do much for me, because I feel like this is such a trope, is that the big bad villain ends up answering to someone else, kneeling down before the bigger bad. And it's actually, I'm going to compare it to something here. Something. It's a little bit too Star Warsy for me, because it's always, now Vader or whoever is bowing before the Emperor, yada yada yada.
I mean, one, that's a valid story technique because we everyone in those movies we baseline off of Vader. From the opening, these guys are scared of Vader.
I'm not saying it's a problem in the original Star Wars trilogy. I'm just using that as the baseline comparison.
Sure, I'm just defending it. And in that case where, he defers to this guy, he must be real serious.
Yes, but here's the problem, though, is that my instant reaction to that, even when I originally saw Star Wars, is like, no, but Vader's cooler than the Emperor. I don't care about the Emperor that much.
But here's the thing, but that's by design by the Emperor. The Emperor thrives in the shadows.
Yeah.
No, because I'm saying what's less interesting to me is a storytelling mechanic, because for me watching it.
But yeah.
I find them less interesting.
I love that. From the prequels to up through these new ones, the fact that the Emperor is kind of pulling these strings, and whatever you think you know about...
No, he's even worse than the prequels. Palpatine is the worst thing ever. He's so boring.
Good old Sheev?
Palpatine's the worst.
See, I immediately thought of Snoke and Kylo in the sequels here.
Yeah, same thing, except that's even worse because it's just redoing the original stuff.
Well, yeah, but I just thought with the way that he's kneeling and I never got the idea in the original trilogy with the Emperor and Vader where Emperor's just shitty and talks down to him. Right, where Snoke, that's all he does to Kylo, and I'm getting that here from Perpetua.
Yeah, I don't want to touch the Last Jedi thing, but I want to make the point here about the problem I have with spoiler. If anyone who's not seen Last Jedi, I was going to say spoilers here, right, to make my point. Yeah. Full spoilers for Last Jedi. So Snoke being killed in Last Jedi, the problem I have with that moment is not the problem that a lot of Star Wars fans who hate that movie always go on about how
unfulfilled promise.
Yeah, all that yada yada. My problem with that moment is that you've not done enough to make me give a shit about Snoke, so I don't even really get that this is a big deal. I don't care that Kylo's killed him, kind of thing.
It's not a big deal about Snoke. It's a big deal for Kylo.
Well, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. It's not a big deal for Kylo because I don't understand how much of a big deal this is at all. It doesn't have impact for me because Snoke is nothing to me.
But in the grand scheme of things, you have Sheev working the edges, and he's manipulating all of this.
Sheev is Palpatine.
He's Palpatine. Okay. That's his first name.
That's his first. Okay.
It's just funner to say.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Palpatine's a much better name. Palpatine.
Also known as the Senate.
Yes, because
don't start talking about the Senate. I hate the Senate.
I am the Senate.
The Senate, the Jedi Council, all of it. I hate
basically, it. on Reddit, you will never see the word Palpatine or Emperor. You will see him referred to as just Sheev or the Senate, and that is it.
Oh my god.
So, anyways, I like that because I hated all the Snoke speculation. I did not care who this dude was, and so when he goes out and the way that what it means for Ben, and then again, we're going to turn this back into wrestling. The way that you think he's having a babyface turn, and turns out that no, he just did this for himself, and then throws the ultimatum to Rey.
But again, Matt, that's backing up a point. I didn't care who he was. I didn't care about the theorizing either, which is why I didn't care when he was killed because he's nothing.
Well, I didn't care about the theorizing, but I thought it was just the way that Kylo defers to him is enough.
The point to wrap this back around to the point I'm making about this issue of this comic in Perpetua, who's Perpetua Palpatine. It's very similar word. Is that it's making me less interested in her. They're trying to sell me on who Perpetua is by using Lex is being subservient. But the problem is I already feel kind of murky on this Apex Lex, 'cause I don't really like Apex Lex that much. So all it's doing is making her less interesting to me.
Maybe. Hang on, here's the thing. Maybe she's not Palpatine. Maybe she's Snoke.
Maybe
we don't. All that theorizing that we're talking about. All this stuff as a character. Maybe we don't care. Maybe it's all about how Lex feels in the end.
But I'm saying that didn't work for me. The same reasons why it didn't work for me in Last Jedi is the same reasons why it won't work for me here.
Yeah, no, Connor's defending us, just like it's a Kylo moment. Yeah. Right? This is our Kylo moment, all right? Like, it's about us, not about you, Pete.
Oh, my God. And then, God, I don't want to start running about Last Jedi, but
let's not. I'm going to go towards comics, right? Just here, with what we know is coming from the solicits last week, I just kind of feel like Perpetua is a setup villain. She's not the ultimate big bad. So whatever happens out of Justice Doom War, whatever's coming next, that's the real threat. I don't know if I like that. I don't want to spoil it for people in case they don't look at solicits. But yeah. So enough out of this. I'm just the pattern between Flash and Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, between Jay Garrick Flash and
because it's after this. We get to the good stuff after this, where we've got the two.
The best.
Yeah, we got the good stuff. We get the two Green Lanterns together, and they're kind of comparing notes, and he's kind of trying to understand Sinestro, and then we get the two Flashies saving each other, and Barry's trying to explain the Speed Force.
Like, race.
Yeah, you get some racing, and then we see the rest of the JSA kind of doing their thing, and and then likewise in the future. I will say the stuff in the future was not quite as good as the JSA stuff, because I did feel like, as much as it makes sense, but Wonder Woman using her lasso to sort of break them out of their evil spell,
Brainiac.
Yeah,
right.
The Brainiac stuff. It did feel a bit quick. It was literally the first page of this conflict. It's like, hey, lasso around our man. Oh,
yeah.
I think the biggest problem with the future stuff is it comes after the JSA stuff, so it feels by design a little repetitive, because they're kind of going through the same beats, past and future. So because of that, it feels a little.
I feel all three of us care much more about the Justice Society than we do about these features, right? So, someone maybe, I don't know, people out there might really care about Commandy and Justice Legion Alpha and these other concepts that don't get touched on enough. We're just like, oh no.
Well, to be fair, that's why I explicitly did not say it was about, the Justice Society bit was because of that. And it's not that the Justice Society bit is better because I like them more. It's the fact that because this comes after, and the plot beats are by design kind of they're doing the same things kind of in parallel. It feels like a little repetitive because of that. Which, I mean, you could say the same if you put the JSA after. You could say the same.
I'm going to dispute this. I'm going to dispute if they put the JSA stuff after the future stuff. If they just swap the order, I guarantee all three of us would still like the JSA sections more.
We probably would, because it's JSA. But then it's down to just, we like the JSA, don't we? Whereas I'm giving an actual critique on the structure here.
Well, I think it's not just that, though. I think it's because the villains in the JSA section are Sinestro, Grodd, and Cheetah, and that is inherently more interesting than what's happening. Even though what was it? Brainiac 1 million. I was going to say Ultra Brainiac.
Brainiac 1 million is pretty cool.
He's cool, but I don't think it's as interesting as the other villains we care about, right? It's
So I hear that. Pete, I don't know if you've ever seen, I know you're a huge Terminator fan.
Yes.
But T2, The Ride, Battle Across Time.
Yes.
Have you ever seen that? Like, Cameron actually helped shoot it and whatnot.
I've never seen the whole thing, because I don't know if you can actually just... maybe on YouTube probably by now, but I remember on the old Ultimate DVD, there was like a whole making of it. I watched that and saw some clips and stuff.
Yeah, so they take the whole audience to the future, which is real cool. I mean, it was a fun theme park thing, but you end up running into the T1 million, right? And that's all I could think of with Brainiac 1 million.
What is the T1 millions like? What is he? What's his power
It's a really big T1000 that takes the shape of like a spider.
Okay.
Like it's huge. Like
did a certain producer have something to do with this?
John Peters from Superman lives at it again.
So it's been years since I've seen it. Maybe it was just this big monstrous. It doesn't take a robot form like we know or we see. So. And anyways, when you get that big page reveal with the Brainiac 1 million, I was just like, oh, okay, this is Battle Across Time.
So they get the piece of totality in both time periods. The Trinity with this Justice Legion, They sort of team up. They're going to take on this big brainiac, and Wonder Woman gives a command a nice little pep talk about how now there's always hope. The fact that you're still fighting in the future, it means that humanity always has hope.
Yeah.
But then the big interesting thing happens where suddenly the heroes in the past get help from some sea monsters and sharks and whatnot. I love the build up to that because you just like Cheetah's like, do you hear that? And then there's like just a giant tentacle bursts into the ship.
A giant tentacle, and I'm thinking, Starro? Is this Jarro? Did he do something through time?
And then you see all the sharks and dolphins carrying the people.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, now we know who this is. This is Aquaman popping in.
Yeah, it's the opposite of the Indianapolis, right? The sharks aren't eating the people; they're carrying them to shore.
Yeah, do you know what I like about this?
That's hilarious.
I like that the last issue made us think, wait, is Aquaman kind of taking a heel turn because he's working with the Anti-Monitor?
No.
And I loved it. You know, he shows up here and like, wait, I thought he kind of went evil last issue, but it's actually a nice little prelude to the fact that when Apex, Lex, and that are confronted with the Anti-Monitor, he shows up with the others, with Hawkgirl, Starman, the Monitor, and the World Forger, and he's like, no, I've chosen justice, and he's got this giant gun, and it's like, no. Yeah. So what I like about that is that the tease last issue that Aquaman might have went evil actually flips, and it's like, no, that's not the tease. The tease is that the Anti-Monitor is actually on the side of justice.
All right.
Yeah.
It's an uneasy truce, but I kind of like when you think about the Anti-Monitor's motivation throughout, the DC Universe timeline. I guess you could see that he was never about justice. He wasn't destroying Earths just to destroy them for Doom because he wanted to. There was a purpose. There was an order, and to him it was justice. These worlds could not survive, and that's why he was taking him out. At least I think it's been a while since I've read Infinite Crisis.
And I think I know where I was getting Ultra Brainiac before because it says next time the Ultra Monitor. Yeah, so we'll see what that is exactly.
So
they're gonna combine.
Yeah. Flipping Voltron style.
Yeah. Oh my god! I hope the Ultra Monitor is just Bebo.
No, I hope like the Monitor like holds it like a morphin coin and says it's Monitor time, and then they all.
I just want it to be Giant Bebo. It's the Ultra Monitor.
So talking negatively about this, but beyond the what we said earlier, I will say this is an issue that definitely felt like Morrison light with the Wordlagog and the different Monitor stuff and Perpetua and
just the idea of playing with all the continuity, other future stuff, Command.
Yeah, there was a little hand wavy moment actually when Lex was talking to the villains. Where he's like, "Oh, don't worry about messing up the timeline. Perpetua will only let the certain things that she wants to stick."
To be fair, that kind of tracks with how we've seen, Brainiac's bottled all the hyper time moments. So
oh no, it does. It felt like such a hand wavy thing. Yeah. Like, oh, readers, don't worry about continuity here. We're just going to play with it.
I get that, but it tracks with what we've seen so far.
Yeah. It definitely feels like Morrison light, and it makes me wonder that if Morrison was doing something like this, if it would stick the landing, or if this is the more, consumptible version of it.
Loves when Morrison does the big shit. I'm okay with Morrison light.
I'm enjoying this story for the most part. I'm having some trouble with the villain stuff, but the actual two teams and their adventures I'm enjoying well enough. I'm having fun, so I can't be too negative on this story. It's just there's some Snydery things around the edges, and there's the villain stuff I'm not so keen on. But
have they made that announcement yet? Speaking of Snyder and Tynion.
That's true, because we are due the official announcement today, as it is Batman Day. By all accounts, we are getting the official announcement of the new Batman writer today.
Oh, yes. Maybe we'll have it by the end of the show.
Yeah, so I'm checking right now because he was...
if not,
Tynion
we'll just do a little talk about it. The details.
Well, I just know that Tynion was doing a signing at a Barnes & Noble with Tomasi and one of the artists. I can't remember which one. So they said they're going to have a big announcement for Batman Day. I don't know if they're working us or what, but so far I don't see anything. Checking through Twitter.
Which Monitor do I have to sacrifice Connor to get Tom Taylor on the Batman book? Like what?
Funnily enough, he said that he made a post on Friday or Thursday. I can't remember which one.
Tell me more.
He's been seeing.
Tell me more. Right, hold for our honor's soundbite.
Oh, there we go.
You may continue.
So he said, someone tweeted at him and says, "What are the odds that you're the new Batman writer?" And he goes, "Whatever the odds are, they're very, I think, high odds are bad, because all he knows that right now he's working on for DC is Suicide Squad, and he's focused on making that the best possible. But he would love to work on Batman one day." And then King pops up in the thread and says, "I don't know. I'd say your odds are good." And Taylor's like, "Don't do this right now. I
think his response was, "People are just confusing us again."
Yeah, the two of us, yeah. So I don't think it is going to be Taylor. The odds are.
Say is, by where the site that shall not be named that reported this,
yes,
that said Tynion's going to be
the
writer from 86, said that it was only going to be the writer from 86 to 100, and that's when we're going to relaunch with a new number one, a new person in the bat suit, and a new writer.
Let's talk about this properly at the end, because some people might skip this part because it's part of Justice League's discussion. So,
that's fine.
We'll have a Batman. We'll have a Batman Day, a bit of speculation at the end of the show, right? That'll happen at the end.
Connor, I'm sending this to the chat as I was looking through the tweets for Batman stuff. Someone posted they're calling it Batman D&D, and it's their character designs for a Batman D&D crossover. I thought you should see them.
All right, Justice League though, rate it, Matt.
I'm giving this one an 8. Howard Porter's art's pretty good, but it's still a little bit spotty in some parts. Like, his art style is just very blocky. And it works in some parts and not so much in others. So,
Connor?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, I'm going with an 8. Similar reasons. The art being at points, by the way, there's a moment where when Barry and John think that Aquaman's doing this, and they're like, "Oh, it can't be." You know, some odd faces at that moment in particular, where I felt like should have been the most important moment of the book for them.
I'm going to go with 7.5. I kind of agree with the art comments, but yeah, the Lex stuff, Perpetua, is just not there for me. But I'm enjoying the rest of it well enough for what it is. So there you go. That is Justice League, which will take us on to Aquaman 52. Kelly Sue DeConnick writing with Robson and Rocha on the art. More Kraken. Well, not really Kraken, but, you know, sea monster with tentacles.
Sea monster. And speaking of D&D, Jackson going full in.
Oh yeah, he was like, "Oh, a saving throw. That's how you roll." All right then.
Yep. Full nerd.
Plus 3 water bearers cracked me up.
Plus 3 water bearers, yeah. And this the Manta stuff still, I don't feel like it's matching the rest of the tone of the book.
I'm going to tell you now, that section drops this book by a point for me at the end, because I was just like, why are we doing this? This is so disconnected.
Might be a half point. I do like where it's going and what he's doing.
I think the Manta stuff will be fun once it actually is the main plot. Like, once it's...
Yeah.
But it just felt so disparate and just thrown in here. It didn't feel connected at all. Yeah,
I will say the same problem we had with the odd face last issue is popping up, but I do think Rocha's art when it comes to the monster and like the battling in the water and the, you know, Aquaman jumping out and catching the trident, you know, as it's thrown into the air.
Great. Yeah.
You know, all that stuff looks really good.
I got to get all stabby on you. Like, there's some fun dialogue here. But yeah, mostly the art's pretty good. So I mean, I feel Rocha really excels during action scenes.
And I like the coloring. I like the overall tone.
The coloring when Arthur goes flying through the lighthouse, and it explodes is just gorgeous.
And the bigger part of this is seeing the cost of being a hero. So Jackson sees this where he can't rescue that guy,
Arthur.
Arthur, and he drowns. And then they have the funeral for him, and I thought that was you don't see that too much in superhero comics.
I think his name was Ralph, not Arthur.
Oh, it's Ralph. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know where I got Arthur from.
but they're
because
trying.
That's Aquaman.
Yeah. But so they're trying to resuscitate him.
Oh yeah, good point.
You're right.
Jesus Christ, are you sure you're on a DC podcast?
We hate comics, guys.
Arthur. I almost call him Aquaman, alright?
Yeah, I know, but come on.
Yes, Arthur Curry is Aquaman. Yeah. Right.
I thought it too, though. Like, I forgot his name.
Yeah. Ralph.
So
I think it was. I think I remembered Ralphie, and then Ralphie to Arthur's. Similar.
Wait, what? How's Ralphie similar to
It's from a similar era. I can see like the same like kid being called that in like a sitcom from the 70s.
So there's this narration over it, and we don't exactly know what it's from as as we go. So Pete, is this an actual Scottish prayer?
No, I don't know. What are you asking me? Do you think I know prayers?
Well, he says from ghoulies and ghosties and long-legged beasties.
I mean that part does sound long-legged beasties does sound familiar.
Good Lord, deliver us. So goes the Scotsman's prayer. So I'm just saying, like
the long-legged beasties does sound familiar. Maybe it's taken from an old Robert Burns or Rabbie Burns to say it in the local way. But no, interesting. No, this was a fairly quick read, but it was beautiful, and all the fighting was really fun, and it has this kind of downbeat ending. I think the symbolism of the lighthouse getting smashed up and like this beacon of light not being there anymore.
I think it's so fascinating to me that the monster vanishes as the lighthouse is destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what was tethering it.
Yeah, and we have. I love the image of them all out in these little boats, and like the priest is like in the middle boat, like saying the not the eulogy, but the saying the final thing. And all these little red pots they're putting in the water to sort of symbolize. It's kind of the equal thing of the lanterns in certain rituals.
Yeah, we're in I know in Hawaii, when someone dies in the ocean, they put leis out. They go in a circle, and they float those out too. The flower necklaces. So same kind of sentiment. And all that's kind of upset by flipping Mecha Manta, and don't call him son. And I just felt like, yeah.
It felt out of tone with the rest of the book. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It did.
He calls me captain.
Yeah, I did kind of like that. I also like that they go to this proto-Atlantean civilization, and Manta's just there to destroy it, because that's what he's all about now.
It particularly frustrated me that this was, intercut with the funeral. Because that's so tonally offbeat that it was jarring.
I think if anything, what they should have done is just put it all at the end and say it's like an epilogue. So the story finishes, then you get a few pages of the Manta plotline on its own.
Yeah, which I'd still dislike because it would still feel jarring. But I think I'd like it wouldn't ruin the flow of the moment in like the funeral.
It wouldn't interfere with the pace or the tone. But the final page, we find out who's actually been doing all this narration. Tristram Maurer shows up.
Who's the long lost writer that disappeared 200 years ago.
Yeah, monster dude.
Yeah, the lighthouse dude who the story was told about.
Not H.P. Lovecraft.
I wonder if he was the monster, because if you look at his shadow, and you could argue and tell me it's some hair and stuff like that, but it looks a bit tentacly.
No, I think it's definitely shown as he is the monster.
And that's why it just happened to vanish, and now he's here.
Yes.
Yep.
So, how did he become a monster?
Jackson's gonna lose it.
The story was that he was taken by a monster.
Yeah.
But is there a separate monster that took him and has maybe replaced him, or was he just this all the time? Where was it always him?
If he is a H.P. Lovecraft analog, then maybe the monster is madness, right?
I mean, possibly, but I mean, the whole thing with H.P. Lovecraft is that, if you actually look at his writings, he was not a pleasant person. He was kind of a monster in his own way. So I wonder, you could almost read this as like an interesting commentary on Lovecraft, where he wrote about monstrous stuff, but he was kind of a monster himself. So this is kind of like a weird wink.
That's where it projected, and it was the madness. And he was worried about going mad. That was his main thing. So that's what it translates into his books. But if you look at what Kelly Sue's been doing from the beginning with the ocean gods, and now all of this, and it's not really mythology, but it's in that realm.
It has become a mythology in its own right, I would say.
Well, it is called the Cthulhu mythos, right? But I just mean it in stories. Like, the gods get their powers when people believe in them. And, who's to say that this writer didn't attain the same kind of power, and now that there's books and games based, you know what I mean?
Super Morrison concept.
Or I'd say more. I mean, that's along the lines of a game in 2, right? I mean, is that what American Gods is all about?
Yeah.
So who's to say that now that there's this reinvigorated interest with the role-playing games and all the books that Jackson's been reading, he hasn't attained the same kind of ability.
Kind of brought him back.
Yeah. Right. And maybe he's not the villain. Maybe that's just, who knows? He's
tell
not the
that
monster,
to Ralphie, formerly known as Arthur.
Yeah. Well, the ocean. I also like that about how the ocean magnifies things. That's probably my favorite bit in the book. That if you're out on a boat, you're out at sea, it shows you who you really are, and that if you're a good person, it's only going to magnify that. But if you're this bitter, broken, cold-hearted, it's only going to turn you into a monster. Yeah. So maybe that plays into it as well.
Hence why Connor never goes sailing. So,
do you really want that?
I used to quite a bit of kayaking.
That kind of guy is the worst.
That kind of guy is the worst, indeed. What are you rating the issue, Matt?
I'm going to give this one an 8. I enjoyed everything except for the pacing with Samantha and the occasional art thing here or there. But, I mean, Kelly Sue's been killing it on Aquaman. It's just another one.
Indeed. Connor?
Yeah, what he said, word for word.
Cool. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go 8.5. Despite I agree with the pacing stuff, but the Manta stuff sort of taken away from the tone of that bit. But everything it's doing is working so well for me, and it's got this great tone to it. I'm loving that it's dealing with a supporting cast, and the cop's a regular character again, Jackson being included, like all this stuff. And the actual fight would look great. I'm loving what it's doing with this sea monster stuff. So 8.5 for me. So before we move on to the next book, let me just tell you right now about patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can go and support everything we do, including this podcast. You can support us for as little as $1 per month, and you get some bonus stuff over there, including cut-out tangents that you might get from time to time. The higher tiers, of course, have things like credits at the end of the videos you get your name on, and some other such stuff. But it helps keep the content coming, so if you want to support everything we do, you can go do that at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. But that will take us on to Supergirl issue 34, Marc Andreyko writing and Eduardo Pansica on the art. And Supergirl is back in National City.
Yeah.
And we see it as a poster for Kara Danvers. She's missing. So
yeah, Ben's putting that up.
Yeah, we're going to have to deal with that soon, aren't we?
Yeah, and I like how she goes and catches Dr. Veritas smoking, right? And gives her a Superman-esque lecture.
Yeah,
like,
and we deal with the idea that she's in hiding because all the agencies. This is kind of a Leviathan tie-in issue, and that all of the agencies are missing, including her foster parents. The Danvers are missing, and this issue is largely about them, her trying to find them and find out what happened to them. Whilst also Lexi's gift to one of the Brainiacs is access to the Fortress of Solitude, so that you can gain knowledge and whatnot.
And this is the original fortress, not the Bermuda one, right?
Yeah, this is the original.
It's the Arctic.
Okay. Arctic one, yeah. So, no, I love that Ben's back. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of like bringing the supporting cast back in. Makes it feel more in line with what the book was before she went off to space. And presumably setting up maybe in these last few issues before Hauser comes on board in December? Yeah, December's her issue.
Yeah.
Setting that stuff up. So it feels like, like the book will probably still be tying into Superman a lot, but now it'll be Jodie Hauser doing it. But they're looking for Eliza, and they track her robotic hand to a morgue, which obviously is not good news. It's this nice jump cut because she says, you're not going to like this. Veritas is like, you're not going to like where we've tracked this to. And we go to a morgue, and Supergirl goes in and finds the hand in a bag on top of the body, which doesn't necessarily suggest that the body is hers. It could be that, someone's left this, Leviathan's left this for Supergirl to find. Was kind of how I was maybe reading it, is that it's not actually belonging to this body. It's just, here's a...
But it definitely is Eliza's.
Oh, yeah, no, we get like a flashback. So Leviathan maybe has her kidnapped or whatever, but someone... Or maybe Eliza herself has left it here as a breadcrumb.
Right, because we know that Leviathan's technology would be able to replace something like that, right? But then again, you see Kara dealing with Leviathan, and she hasn't yet, and like them wearing lead masks, and them also not being too sure of themselves, right? And and now she's fighting this Leviathan. She's pretty upset because of Eliza, and someone shows up and kills one of the members of Leviathan, which I thought that was pretty shocking.
Yeah, that's where we get to. That's where it goes next. Yeah, Leviathan shows. These like 3 Leviathan just show up, and Supergirl has a hard time. They're wearing lead. They actually trap Krypto with like an electric net at one point, and she has to get him out. But they have kryptonite, and it becomes this thing where maybe she's in over her head here, and then in walks someone masked to like help her. And she at first she's like, "You just killed 3 people. I don't care who they were. Like this is not right." And then he takes off the mask, and it's Jeremiah Danvers. That's the big cliffhanger at the end of the book.
It's her Earth dad.
And so yeah, he's presumably, I really like the art on Krypto here, where he's paw up in the leg, but the physics of this bothers me a little bit. What exactly is he resting his paw on? Because his leg's not bent, so it's like he's as someone with a dog that gets pushy when she wants pets. Yeah, I just felt like Krypto just is like tapping him because he's excited to see him. It's not so much a resting. It's like we caught him in motion. Sure. Okay. Okay. They are typically what I like though. I think Pansica's pretty solid on Supergirl. Looks great in the outfit. What's funny? Pansica and Rocha, weren't they both main artists on Green Lanterns? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So it's good to know that they've got to other books, even though that book's no longer around, sadly. That they're still around doing stuff. Absolutely, because they are. I think it's really solid. The page where she's crying, looking at the hand as the flashback kind of plays out around her, is a little bit 90s, but it's 90s in a good way. So because there's 90s art that I really like, and there's 90s art that I really dislike, and this is kind of like good 90s art. If that makes any sense whatsoever. No, it does. There's a blockiness to it. There's a, you know what I mean? Like it's very action oriented. It's kind of like Howard Porter, but I would also say Howard Porter's very 90s-esque too, in the best way. Yeah. I like this issue quite a bit. It felt like it was getting back to her supporting cast, which is obviously she's had Zinder in space, but this was like, no, let's get back to her Earth supporting cast and reintroduce them, and presumably because they want to do some stuff with them, that they're going to use them in future stories, and maybe Hauser's going to do stuff with them. So yeah. If I was to make a guess, I'd say that either she'll have like a cover story for Kara coming back either by the end of this, or maybe that'll be the start of Hauser's run. I don't know if that's something they're going to fix before Hauser starts, or if it's something that that'll be our first story, is like, okay, how do we reintroduce and reestablish Kara Danvers and her existing in the world? That should be fun. Yeah, no, I'm digging it. Let me just say that I want to look up Dr. Veritas. I know she's been around for a while, but exactly where? And I just got very upset. Oh. You want to know who created her, Pete? Oh. Is it one Mr. Scott Lobdell? Yep, during the Hell on Earth story, which I completely put out of my brain. I remember Dr. Veritas showing up, over time since Rebirth and whatnot, but where exactly did she come from? On the upside, though, I mean, this is just proof that you can take someone and turn them into a solid supporting character. And again, I feel like sometimes Superman and Supergirl, we'll say the Superman family supporting cast, doesn't get a lot of spotlight, but I like here that Dr. Veritas has, and hopefully the fire chief, who I'm blanking on her name, hopefully she starts showing back up in Bendis' run, because she was a pretty key early on, a pretty big member. I think she will. Yeah. I think what I liked about this is that it tied a little bit into Leviathan, but it mainly reestablished how important her Earth parents are to her and the concern over that, but also reestablished Veritas. So it's and even Ben gets a little cameo of like reestablishing him. So it's very clearly saying, hey, here's the main players in our supporting cast that are going to be important again, focusing mainly on the parents and the idea of like her getting back to them and what's going on there. So. I think this will be a solid 3-issue arc or whatever it is that gets us up to Hauser's first issue, and then from there we'll see what it does. So, good. What are you giving it, Matt? I'm gonna give this one an 8. It's pretty good. I like that it took us back to National City, and it's Supergirl back in that element after the sidetrack around the universe, where it feels like very much not so much a change in tone, but like, hey, we're done with the Rogals R stuff. Supergirl can go back to being Supergirl. And not all that. No, I pretty much agree. I will give it an 8 as well. I think it's a pretty solid issue. I'm liking it setting up Supergirl's world again. And I like the Supergirl. after having, some misses during the Orlando run, has gotten, between that first arc with Hauser co-writing, and then since it came back with Andreyko, it's definitely been consistently solid for us, I think. And I'm looking forward to Hauser running wild on it. Hauser being the full-time writer on an ongoing book is something that I've wanted for a while. So I'm more than pleased. So that'll take us on to Jimmy Olsen, issue 3, Matt Fraction writing with Steve Lieber on the art. I'm going to start with something here. This is my last issue of this book. I'm good. I can move on with my life.
Really?
Yeah.
So, Pete's a terrible person.
I'm good. It's not for me.
He hates comics, obviously.
I I've not been as hot on it as you guys have, and I was reading this issue, and everything that I want them to do with this, they keep ignoring. We ended last issue with Lois is coming to help him, and it's like the final scene of this book where Lois shows up.
Yeah.
So much of it set before he went to Gotham, and I was excited about him being in Gotham, and there's been so little of it, and I'm just it's annoying me.
The body double scene with Metamorpho is one of my favorite things in comics this year.
I was laughing, genuinely laughing out loud.
Yeah.
I do not do that often while reading a comic.
It basically his friend who died, and who I'm sure will pop back up because we don't know what happened. No body, no death. But for all intents and purposes, the Star Labs guy that found this dwarf star matter in whatever, made Jimmy a clone of himself. Why? Because he could, I guess. And as he is setting that up, someone tries to kill him and shoots the clone body.
I love the whole reason he made it is as an assassination decoy. So,
Yeah, that's what it is, assassination decoy.
And Rex is there going, hey, why do you even need that? How many people actually want to kill you? It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, and then immediately 3 gunshots come through the window and take out the body.
Right. So that's all good stuff too. But then we get some cool character stuff with Luthor, which I like the fact that Fraction's pitting Luthor versus Olsen, like these old Metropolis families,
Superman's just a distraction in this.
Right. And that. So the Luthor lion, or what was it called? The statue that got destroyed. Yeah. And there was a box left inside, and it's basically left to Luthor because it was his family statue, and he cracks it open and he takes up his whatever of the year award. It's this glass, really prestige looking award, and uses it to break open the box and cuts his hand. And I thought right here is the ultimate character moment for Luthor in this, that he's actually getting his hands dirty. Now.
Yeah, and it's again to show how different he is from Superman. He's like, he's a man, he bleeds.
Yep.
Just doing simple things.
And if he bleeds, we can kill him. I mean, sorry. Wrong.
That's right. And so in this box is Olsen family stuff. It's Joachim Olsen's
monocle.
His monocle, a small Derringer pistol, and a family photo. And it's like, well, why was that in the capstone in the Luthor? So I'm willing to bet that the Olsens and the Luthors are much more connected. Yeah, because
we open with old Olsen hanging Luthor, or Alexander, as they are known as the family name at that point.
Right. And it's Lutheria. What's the full name?
Luthor Alexander.
Yeah. So they're not the Luthors yet, right? But this is the family we're expected. And my Superman history tells me that in modern canon, Lex is from Smallville, and he ends up in Metropolis. So I don't know if this is going to play into that, and that in order to get out of the Olsen family shadow.
Well, to be fair, Matt, I think whenever we get the Lex was in Smallville thing, it's always the idea that they've moved there. It's not like the family is meant to have come from Smallville, right?
I'm wondering if that's we're gonna find this. Yeah, I'm wondering if that is, because here I'm just getting the feeling that the Luthors and Olsens are intertwined, just because that dude's last name that says he'll curse him later, right? It's not Luthor, right? That's his first name.
Yeah,
and it's flipped. So I'm not wondering if who we know as the Luthors, right, spin out of the Olsens.
I wonder how continuity this actually is, because I mean, if you go off of recent Justice League, for example, Lionel was a drunk old bastard.
Right.
And
but
not the scion of Metropolis in the way that they're presented as this old family.
No, but also he also ran that government project, right?
That's true, he did, yeah.
That led to... So that might have been the later years.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? So it still doesn't counteract that. He's still reaching out to Lois. Lois has her spelling. There's a jab at her
she
spelling.
tries to correct the grammar, and she's like, "Yeah, well, spelling matters too."
Yeah, and that's what she goes, but not as much as you would think. So it feels like it's very much in continuity, despite being not seeming like it's just touching that continuity. Because that whole scene in New Oberstad, it just him not killing him and sending him away, and then by the time we see that family picture, it looks like Joachim Olsen is much older. There's been generations, like he has grandkids, white beard and all that. So, was this the blood feud where it started? Is it this Hatfield McCoy thing, or is there something else going on? But you still have the Jimmy shenanigans, where you find out that Luthor basically tried to have him killed with the whole turtle thing that we saw that led to the crashing into the statue.
Yeah, and then let's not forget about the porcadillo.
Right.
So I guess is a cross between a porcupine and an armadillo.
An armadillo, yep.
Yeah.
And it goes and attacks the lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Or so we think. We also find out that Miss Denise, it's Denise, right?
Yes.
That works in that office, lives in Jimmy's building, because she's the one that's checking.
Yeah, to be fair, he's
okay.
the landlord lawyer is his name. So yeah, it makes sense.
So there's all these little threads in here that are going, but still someone's trying to kill Jimmy Olsen. We might think it's Lex. That's what we so believe, because whoever it is has, these connections that are there. But I'm starting to think maybe it's not Lex.
It's too obvious.
Even though all of Jimmy's red strings lead right there. But if you also notice who's on there, his older brother's also on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and look
on
at
the board. Go look at that board, and he's featured very prominently.
Yeah, I need to find it. It was in this issue somewhere.
Mm-hmm. It's the last page.
Last page. Oh, I'll get that. Okay, yeah, I see it.
You see that?
Yeah. He is there quite heavily.
He
has question mark links.
Right. You also have Pirate Patch Bendis there. I think that's pretty funny.
I'm looking. Try to see. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Is that Dr. Fate down at the bottom, connected to a bee?
Maybe. You have that girl from the special is connected through the cat, which we've seen. Who's Dexter, right? But yeah, and then the other funny scene is where he, goes to his own funeral. He buries the signal watch, but Superman's still listening, so he knows what's up.
I like that little moment where he's like, "Hey, look, I know you're listening, and this is just so I'm not tempted to just call for help. I gotta do this on my own." Right.
That Superman pals Jimmy Olsen is dead, and it's this really stoic moment.
And he puts his head down. Goes on the cap.
And he's wearing a fake mustache, like Bruce.
Yeah, and he wasn't before.
No.
Like 2000. Long live irresponsible blogger Timmy Olsen.
Timmy Olsen, as if that's going to help out.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Who might have a mustache. I haven't decided yet.
Yet he was supposed to help the gravedigger.
And he just walks off with the shovel.
With the shovel.
Yeah. And the guy's like, "Hey, dude, that's my shovel. I need that."
Yeah. So it's a shame that Pete's done with this one, because I'm excited to see where this goes.
This has quickly become one of my favorite books that DC has published.
It's real fun.
Right. And then the next time, because it ends with him going, "Yeah, it's probably pretty hard to bring down Lex, right?" So yes, very hard. Superman's been trying for like 80 years.
80 years. Yeah. So, but yeah. Again, tying into the Superman stuff, it all feels kind of contained. If this even is full on continuity, I can see them doing some screwy stuff, but
I laughed really hard about him with the tinfoil wrapper chain that he's got.
For the door, because it looks like a. So, he's in Gotham, and, we've seen his apartment. It looks completely haggard. And then Lois comes in, and she kind of kicks down the door. And he goes, Lois, come on.
Oh,
that's a brand new chain.
Yeah, he's like, my chain. She's like, wait, is that a bit of paper? You can just see it taped onto the wall, and it's just for show.
And he's like, yeah, because foil's the only thing that looks metal enough to look like a real chain. Because he can't afford one. So I thought that was a bit of fun humor there, too.
It was, yeah.
Whew. But yeah, Jimmy Olsen. Sorry, Pete.
Well, there's some amusing bits here or there. I don't know. I think it'll probably read better in trade when you can just binge it, because...
Well, I like the out-of-order nature of it, where it's piecing things together.
Yeah, this is actually one of the few books I think reads really well monthly, as opposed to in trade. Piece there might read better when it flows, but for me, the fact that each segment just kind of plays off something else in the book and just, it hints at things and we're jumping around, it works really well monthly because of that format for me, because I don't feel like I need to remember every detail, because it really naturally reminds me of things by jumping through all these segments.
Yeah, I feel the complete opposite. For me, this is... I've enjoyed each issue less than the last one, because, everything I get excited about with the next issue ends up not being what most of the next issue is. And I think this would be fine if I was reading it all in one go, because it would just be an order story that's happening. But yeah, there's several segments in this where I was just kind of like, you could have cut that segment. You could have cut this segment.
Yeah, there's not a single segment I felt that about.
So it's just not for me. You guys can keep reading it, enjoy it, and do what you want to do. I'm done now. It's this is a 6 out of 10 for me, this issue.
Wow.
What are you giving it, Matt?
This is an 8.5. I enjoyed a lot of this.
Connor?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9. I loved it.
See, I don't get it. It's fine. You guys knock yourselves out. That'll take us on to Lex Luthor, You're the Villain, issue 1, Jason Latour and Bryan Hitch, rating. Can I just point out that just how happy Matt probably is that we had a Supergirl, a Jimmy Olsen, and a Lex Luthor one shot back to back? That's.
Mm-hmm.
And then Superman was this.
Up, Matt, this
week.
Week.
Superman was this week as well. So that's 4 Super Family books. Just
everything's coming up, Millhouse.
Yeah, apparently. So Matt read this. No one else did, but Matt's going to tell us about it.
You guys should. So basically, the plot of this is on the cover is one Lex to kill them all, and this is a Apex Lex touring the multiverse to. There goes Pete. Bye, Pete.
What an inconsiderate dickbag.
Yeah, right.
Who would do that while people are talking about books?
Yeah, right. Definitely not Connor.
No, I've never once done that.
So Lex he has access to the multiverse now because of Perpetua. She's clearly back. She created the multiverse. He can come and go as he sees. And it opens up on Earth 38. So I have my little, list of Earths, right? Well, it's all very classic. And so Earth 38, according to this from the Multiversity Guidebook, is real-time Earth where Batman and Superman debuted in the 30s. As in Superman, Batman generations, their descendants are today's heroes. So this is back in the past. This looks like the 40s. They're in Smallville, and Superboy is judging a science fair, and Lex isn't there to present his experiment. And you get Lana's there, and Pete Ross, but it jumps to Luthor's house, and he's there with his alcoholic dad, which I think is funny that we brought up under the last book, as Pete's dying, it sounds like. And
actually, Matt, the audience didn't hear that. My mic was muted for them in the recording, so...
my bad.
Yeah, only because he wanted to eat, though, not because he was going to cough.
I'm munching some Pringles, all right? Well, I didn't read this book. I can just listen to Matt. It's fine.
So basically, it jumps to, alcoholic dad who's talking about, in the absence of such men that has caused this world to lapse. So he's lecturing this scared Lex, who's basically his science project was he has solved unified field theory. And mind you, this is a set in the in the 40s, so this Lex is definitely a genius. But he shows up, and Apex Lex shows up as as we know, suit and tie Lex. That's the form he gives to this younger version. But basically, he shows it that Lex's dad, Lionel's going to die from his alcoholism, and that you need to be more than this. Don't look at this man. Look at me. And he gives him a vision of what's to come. And we see Perpetua and all of the villains. You have Batman who laughs there, which I thought, come on. It would have been nice to not have to deal with that. But Cheetah and Captain Cold, Bizarro's there weirdly. And Apex Lex incinerates Lionel in this timeline. And then that leaves this young Lex to go with him. So then they jump to Earth 45, which is now the future, because that was the past. And Earth 45 is the Earth of Super Doom, which was from not Multiversity, but Morrison's Action Comics, right? Where this concept of Superman, that was bred for human, like not human consumption, but through consumerism, right? It goes haywire, right? And it was basically a killer franchise. This world has been completely destroyed, and LexCorp and Wayne Tech are the rival heroes, right? And so the Batman in this world basically quarantined the Earth into the Phantom Zone, and because Lex enabled himself to become like a Doomsday type to kill the Super Doom. And we go there and see that Lex is almost there to recruit another Lex, not to kill. And he jumps to Earth 32 in the future. This is a world where heroes are merged. So here, Superman's merged with Martian Manhunter, and Batman is Lex Luthor. He has a butler named Fred, which I'm sure is short for Alfred. And this Superman, Martian Manhunter, and Lex Luthor are best friends. Superman's talking, or Superman Manhunter. That's got to be his name, right? It's basically saying that Lex gave him this crown that represents Ra, the Kryptonian deity, and that him being a Kryptonian, or he's a Martian that was brought up with Kryptonian heritage, has completely changed this world for the better with the help of Batman, who's Lex Luthor, and they show up, the young Luthor and Apex Lex, to defeat him, but Bat Luthor is completely prepared for this and is like, oh, you're here to kill me. We're not going to have this. But he realizes that this was all just a deception, that Luthor put him or Apex Lex put him in a no-win scenario. So you either can stay here and figure out what's going on with me, or you can go and save your Superman. Because we see that he's brought the Luthor Doomsday from the last Earth to fight and kill this Superman. And it's just to prove that there can only be one Luthor. And it ain't going to be you, so I'm going to fight you the best way I know. And that his doom's assured. So he leaves, Bat Luthor to deal with this, and it jumps to Earth 1, which is the future, and someone's talking about Black Mercy. And we all know what Black Mercy is. It's, it's that plant that gives you your heart's desire. It's a parasitic. It's going to feed off of your thoughts and feelings. And I'm guessing, because this is Earth 1, this is Perry White, because it's a newsroom, or it's a Superman. I don't know. I've never read Earth 1, so I don't know who this is supposed to be. But they're talking about how Lex basically, Luthor used the Black Mercy on Superman. He dreamed a life on Krypton, a family, a purpose, a world where he was no longer alone. And then Lex woke up Superman, and all those 8 billion people of that Krypton disappeared. And then when Superman's eyes opened, Lex was smiling. So I don't know if that's something that happened in Earth 1, since I haven't read this. And it's basically it shows Lex in a coma. So the Apex Lex and young Lex go to visit him, but it seems like this Lex knows what's going on. And there's a slight smile But they keep reality hopping, and the whole point of this is to show young Lex all the different Luthors there are and how they're different on each world. They go to Earth 50, which I'm going to cross-reference here, is from the Justice Lords, where Lex was president, which that's from the episode of Justice League, was it Unlimited? Where Luthor had killed the Flash, and then so the Justice Society rose up, became authoritarian and all that. They jump to Earth 44, where Lex has become like a cobbler, and they kill him there, like he's a shoemaker. And Apex Lex gets really pissed because like you're wasting your talents on shoes, and makes younger Lex kill him. But he's like, well, you know, how'd this happen? And he goes, Mom wanted me to go to med school, but I took up the theremin. I don't know else what you want me to say. Your choices have consequences, and it shows young Lex killing him. And they keep jumping. They go to Earth 13, which is the magic Earth. They kill the Lex there. And then they end up on this weird Earth. It's Earth 47, which it says always then. And it's this Lex who looks very like he belongs in today, where he's bald, but he has this big, bushy, red beard, right? Like very much of the trends now. But everything around him's like mid-century modern architecture. So I look up Earth 47, not familiar with it at all. And this is the home of characters that first appeared in Animal Man, like Sunshine Superman, Speed Freak, Magic Lantern, the Love Syndicate of the Dream World. So it's basically Morrison's drug world. Like this is the counterculture world of the multiverse. And what this Lex has done, he's taken the Black Mercy and he's made like a tea out of it. And when he drinks that tea, it sends him to these other worlds where he's a hero on everyone. And it's almost as if it's taking him to these worlds. So you see him as, you know, in the Superman suit that we saw at the end of New 52 and into Rebirth. And they have him as Hawkman, and they have him as Flash and Luthor, and with the Justice Riders, or as Brainiac, I should say, not Luthor, and as Orion. And I almost feel like I just blanked on the writer, Latour. Latour's almost saying like there's a complete opposite to the dark multiverse, but it's not quite the multiverse. Because if this Lex can go to all these different worlds through drinking the Black Mercy tea, it's not just because he doesn't believe that it's just the hallucinations from this, that he's been transported to countless realities, lived countless lives, and had countless second chances. And I wish I could tell you I used them all well. So I don't know, you know, if there's just infinite Lexes and Lex can never just be the one, right? Because as long as there's thought and imagination, that'll never be by himself. But, you know, he knows why he's there. He's put it together because he's, you know, that he's there to be the only Lex, and that he knows the truth that he gave up on being human. He can tell he's part Martian. He's not Lex Luthor anymore. He's something beyond that. So younger Lex kills him, and then he looks up, and younger Lex looks up and says, they're all wrong. No more rivals to cage or reduce him, to decay Luthor's potential. There's only one other path. There's only Luthor, right? And it almost looks like Lex is going to kill him. Like he goes for his head. Like he's going to twist it off, right? And you're like, oh, it's not going to go that dark. But no, he gives him like an apocalypse suit, right? And they fly off, right? And I'm like, how could he do that? And then it cuts to Lex back on his ship, Apex Lex, and he's got this young Lex Luthor, but he's got Black Mercy connected to him. So it makes me wonder if all of this was just a Black Mercy.
That would make sense, because if he just randomly got a suit and flew off with Lex after saying there can only be one.
Right? And then the very last panel, it says Lex Luthor Human DNA Backup 1.0. So he took a human version of himself, instilled this version of Doom already in him, that if anything happens to Apex Lex,
he has
this backup.
But it also gives us an easy way to revert him back to standard Lex at some point.
Right.
Interesting.
So, and again, this is Latour and it's Hitch on art. The art's fantastic. Like this, he's at Hawkman levels. And the more I read this and the more I checked out the other Earths, and you guys all know I'm a continuity wonk and multiverse stuff.
And
how they all fit. Yeah, right. and they all fit together. And the whole message of this of Lex Luthor was, is Lex still even Lex anymore? Because he not sold out to Doom, but he embraced Doom, and he changed who he was, even on the genetic level. But this issue right here shows that he's aware of this, and of course Lex has a backup. And it also makes me wonder if he did go to all these different Earths, right? If because of Perpetua, or if this is just something that he's manipulating in young Lex through the Black Mercy. But once the Black Mercy started showing up, I was like, this is weird. But the Earth 47 stuff with that Lex, I thought that's really where the book hits its stride, because it's this like perfect Earth where he takes him out to his garden, but everything it's a forest, and young Lex is like, how can a forest be a garden? And the Luthor on that, it's like, well, it is if you know how to cultivate what you want. And so there's just these messages in there that maybe also Lex isn't full gone into Doom, and maybe this isn't the answer. But yeah, no, these one shots are all really solid so far. I've enjoyed them all to varying degrees.
And it's weird that neither me or Connor have bothered reading any of them so far.
I know.
I'll be honest. I had planned to read this, and then just forgot it existed when I came to read my books.
I forgot about it till this morning. I went through, and it was sitting there, and I went, "Oh yeah, I got to read this." So
yeah, I went to pick my books on Comixology this morning, and then just didn't even think to check for this one. Just didn't even cross my mind that it existed.
So I'm rating this. I'm going to give this a 9.5. I really enjoyed this issue.
Whoa.
Just, yeah, the art's up there. It's Hitch. Like, we weren't big fans of Hitch, and then all of a sudden he gets on Hawkman. I don't know if something changed. I don't know if he got more inspired or what. They're just pairing him with the right writers. But I thought this issue was really strong.
All right. Well, there you go. That'll take us on to the Patreon books for the week. So yeah, just to explain this again, on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, there are some of the higher tiers where you can make me or Connor read a book of your choosing, and Connor has been tasked with Red Hood Outlaw issue 36 in this sense. He's a couple of months behind the actual ongoing book, but patron David just keeps making him continue. So this is issue 36 by Scott Lobdell and Pete Woods. Connor, do fill us in with your joy.
Just double checking, it is Pete Woods. It is, yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember you asked me at the start, and I went, yeah, I think it was, but I never actually checked. Yeah, so this opens where we left off last time with Jason getting back into his office, and Penguin's been let out, and he's there, and he's pointing a gun. Turns out he's lost some of his memory, because so if you recall, which you might actually recall this instance because it was one of the bigger instances that could have had ripple effects across the other books. Red Hood shot Penguin in the face right through the monocle.
Okay.
So it turns out, well, it reveals later in this issue that he used a blank, but the blank, it was still obviously it was point blank his face, so it still smashed the monocle and pushed some of the glass into his brain, which apparently was all part of his plan. Which, yeah,
jeez,
yeah. Here you go. Since I shot Cobblepot with a blank, the shrapnel careened off his monocle, but managed to drive glass shards into his brain, like I knew it would. What? Piss off. But so it turns out, obviously, because of this, Cobblepot has forgotten that Jason Todd is Red Hood. And at first, he's really disappointed about this. He's like, oh, man, I was hoping for a good...
This was targeted amnesia? Like, he intended to make him...
No. He didn't intend for the amnesia. He just intended to take him out, but not kill him. But, yeah.
I don't know. Shards of glass getting in your brain sounds like it might kill you. Like, this was not a foolproof plan.
I agree. I agree, because Wingman's there. He's like, so you never intended to kill him? And he's like, oh, he was never going to get off that easy. I just needed him off the table while I reset the board here in Gotham.
For more on getting off easy, go and speak to Matt on his personal podcast.
Sure.
But, yeah, so Penguin's forgotten who he is, and as I said, Jason is pretty annoyed at this at first because he was looking forward to a big confrontation between them, and then it's like, probably a good thing that he doesn't realize that Jason Todd, Bruce Wayne's ward was Red Hood and used to be Robin, because that might raise some questions. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. That's why this is the most awkward way of writing out of this that you could possibly have. But basically, Bunker shows up and attacks Jason instead. He turns on him because he's like, hey, what the hell? You had Penguin locked up here, starving and dehydrating and completely alone, and I thought you were better than this. You're just, you're an immoral douche. And he's like, I'm not working for you anymore. And he pisses off after he frees Penguin. So that's the end of Bunker in the book for now, I assume. And
Jeez.
Jason gives the iceberg to Susie and the other sisters. Like, hey, this is all yours. I'm off. And then that's it. Yeah, he leaves the dog with Isabel, which was the woman that he was sort of dating that was apparently back in the New 52 run that I don't recall. But he leaves his dog, that, just a reminder, is called Dog because he has no imagination, with her. He's off, and okay, Iceberg Lounge mob boss kind of Jason is over with, it seems. We're back to Outlaw. I don't know. But on his way out, Lex shows up because it's a Year of the Villain tie-in. So not Lex, but the Lex bot. It's one of those with the last two pages. Mm-hmm. Which, as much as I give this book shit, far from the only one that has this problem. But Lex shows up and is like, oh, you did pretty good, but everything you learn on a Batman, that so-called hero, and you still died. And then you became a villain pretending to be a hero, and later a hero pretending to be a villain. And well, look at all this shit that you're just doing. You're just confused. The future needs Doom. It needs a new generation with people like your talents. I'm offering you the chance to get it right where Batman got it wrong. And it's just like, I'm listening. And that's it.
Yeah, I feel like if there's anybody that should be on that side, it is Jason. Because his life would all be about Doom.
Yeah.
I like how this dates the issue exactly for how far behind Connor is, because it's like, that was 2 months ago we were making all those complaints about all those final pages. Mm-hmm. Oh, Connor's frozen. Uh-oh. Oh no, he's back. Oh, he's started moving again. Oh, he's in slow motion. There he is. He's back. I think his video's behind his audio now, though.
Okay, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yeah. No, I got to the end of this and I was surprised. I was like, oh, I guess this wasn't as far behind as I thought.
You've got an annual.
Still feels pretty recent.
You've got an annual coming up that apparently David, who makes you read these, didn't even like that issue. So
that's because he's not making me read the annual because he doesn't want me to get further behind.
No,
he just wants
is.
me to go to the next main issue.
No, he was looking forward to you reading the annual, so the annual might even be next.
I have not seen him say that.
David, please do confirm for us that the next thing you want Connor to read is the annual, or if it's the issue after the next issue, then let us know that too. But just confirm that you want Connor to read the annual as that
Until I'm
book.
Told otherwise, I'm going to just assume the next issue is the next numbered issue.
Even though that was never like what you've done before, you've done the annuals in the past. This is just bullshit to weasel your way out of it.
I have done the annuals when specifically told to do the annuals, and it comes here. I don't know when this annual comes. For all I know, it could have come before this issue, and I've just skipped past it.
David,
what do I know?
Tweet at DC Comics Podcast specifying that he needs to read the annual.
It's just not good enough.
Thank you very much. Are you rating it then, you weasel?
I mean, I suppose it's a 4, because it's one of the less offensive issues, because shit all happens in it. Yeah.
That's a good sign when it's less offensive because nothing happened.
Yeah. Pretty much.
At least it couldn't get into...
off scot-free as well. He's running away, and Jason's like, that Euroblock cabal will be after him, so it's fine.
Well then, that'll take us on to the final book that Emma will be talking about this week, and it comes to me for my Patreon pick. This is the last I'll be doing of this particular run for a while, but this is X-Men number 6. So yeah, you don't have to make me read a DC book, you can make us read anything, really. Assuming it's accessible on Comixology, because otherwise it's just too much of a pain to track things down, but most things are. So X-Men 6, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. This is the issue with Namor in it. Namor. What's the consensus on this?
Namor.
I say Namor.
Namor.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I think I was speculating last time if it was his first appearance. It is not, because the issue actually references when he was in Fantastic Four number 27, if nothing else, before this.
Well,
I assume he was in the World War II stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
right.
technically his first.
Yeah, because he was with the original
the
Human
Invaders.
Torch, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So he's actually quite
Union
old.
Jack, and yeah, he's been around, you know.
So,
but this is an important issue for Namor, though, because it's monumental for a reason I'm sure Pete will touch on.
And if I don't, Matt will shame me for not mentioning it, I suppose. But the issues start. This is the weird thing. I'm really getting the impression with these X-Men issues at this point, and this is true of all Silver Age stuff, really. But more than anything, because they keep fighting Magneto and his band of mutants, it's more and more. It feels like something like a kids' TV show, like the Power Rangers, where every episode Rita Repulsa's got a new plan to try and take on the X-Men, and they keep losing, but keep coming back for more every issue, and keep pretending like they're the best in the world, even though they clearly keep getting defeated. But anyway, so the issue starts with the team having breakfast or dinner or whatever, and oddly, Professor X turns and says, "It was a delicious meal, Jean. Thanks for helping out on the cook's day off." And she's like, "I was glad to do it, Professor." So this is not the worst thing in the issue in terms of dated, sexist beats or whatever, but I just thought I'd mention it. It seems like it's worth it. And then she gets really angry and slaps, telekinetically slaps cake out of Bobby's hands because he's eating it with his hands. He should be civilized.
How else do you eat cake?
With a fork or spoon.
Depends how big. Depends on the type of cake.
It's cake covered in ice cream, to be fair.
That's fine. I'm eating with my hands. Come on now.
Depends how tall the cake is, how firm the cake is. If it's like a really soft, fluffy cake that's just going to fall apart, yeah, I'm gonna use a spoon or a fork. If it's something that I can take a bite out of and it's going to retain its integrity, then yeah, sure.
Well, this is the part where I really got to start to think about kids' TV shows, because Professor X is reading about Namor in the paper. And he's like, well, we have to go find him, because if Magneto gets the idea to try and make him join his team, then we're doomed. So, and then it cuts to Magneto, who just right at the very moment goes, I think we need to go find that submariner. We have to go find Namor. Right? It felt like such a kids' TV thing where both the hero team and the villain team will get the idea at the same time. And then there's some hijinks where Mastermind makes it look like Cyclops is there, so Magneto grabs his big laser gun thing and blasts him with it, and it goes through the whole building, and it almost hits Quicksilver, and then it almost hits Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver has to dive her out the way, and then Magneto wants to tear Mastermind a new one for making him attack someone. But anyway, it's a whole thing. So another issue. Remember last issue, Magneto had a space station.
Yeah, Asteroid M, but not.
Yeah, this issue he's got an island.
Yeah, he does.
How he keeps finding these new places that are so extravagant, I don't know. But he does this thing where he essentially leaves his body, like he's astral projecting, which is not something I associate with Magneto, but as you do. The X-Men are training in the danger room. Professor X does his astral projection as well, although with him it is something I associate with Professor X because he's telepathic.
Right.
He catches Magneto on his way to Atlantis, and he's like, I'm going to just sneak out of here, and I'll let Magneto do all the work for us. And Magneto goes to speak to one of the henchmen and says, hey, give this message to Namor for me, because if Namor leaves to join my team, you could take his place as the king of Atlantis. And he's like, oh, it's not a bad idea, actually. So, sure enough, Professor X says we need to get a boat to go and find Magneto's hideout, and it turns out that he basically, he read in the paper about a ship having some problems with its compasses, with the magnetics, and he kind of tracked it to this place. So we literally turn the page, and they have a giant ship, like an old-fashioned ship with 3 big sails. Where they're pulling these things out of, I don't know, but that's what we're going with it. So they've got a TV camera with telekinesis floating up ahead to try and catch things, and some hijinks ensue where people are falling, and Bobby has to catch them in a big snow pit and things like that. It's antics. It's just antics. Namor leaves Atlantis to go and see Magneto, which he shows up and does. And at first he's not really impressed with him, and then Magneto gets an idea. He's going to try and pimp out Scarlet Witch to entice him. He's like, "Oh, Scarlet Witch, you're exactly who I need." Once he sees you, that'll be him. He'll be on our side immediately. And then when Scarlet Witch sees him, and obviously he's in his underwear because Namor's always in his underwear, he's like, "Oh, look how noble he looks. How slim yet muscular. He's fascinating." So she's into him. But
as
then,
the kids would say, she's thirsty.
Yes, but then she accidentally uses her powers on him because she goes to tap him on the shoulder, but her hand motion triggers her power, and she almost like electrocutes him because the cables and the thing they're standing on get hit and whatever. It's a whole thing. And then Angel shows up because they found him, and then combat starts. It's what it is. But there's a whole. Every time Namor refers to Scarlet Witch, he simply refers to her as the female. It's like, oh, look at this female. Like it is so weird and clunky. Indeed.
Oh, jeez.
The female. So Angel actually gets thrown back to the ship by Namor like a cannonball, and they have to try and save him as he's landing on the way back. And then the entire ship gets ripped in half with Magneto's big cannon from this giant magnet he's got, because of course he does. The budget this man's eaten through with all of his doohickeys and bases is unreal, I tell you, unreal. So we eventually have like a nice ramp being built across the ocean for Professor X to wheel across, because he can't swim, obviously. It's a whole thing.
Oh, jeez, I feel bad for laughing, but...
Do you know, I was thinking that episode of Parks and Rec where they've got the red carpet on the ice, and the song keeps playing. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, so Quicksilver's running around and all the rest of it. And what's weird is eventually Namor turns his back on Magneto. He wasn't really aligned with him yet. He was just kind of fighting everyone. But then as soon as Magneto shouts at Scarlet Witch because he's going to blast the X-Men even though Quicksilver's there, he's like, "No, you can't. You'll hurt my brother." He's like, stop your sniveling. I make the decisions around here. Abide by them or suffer the same fate yourself. And then Namor's like, starts recognizing, I'm the submariner, and I ally myself with no one who speaks to a female as you do.
Oh, so he still has honor.
He still has honor. But yes, I can say really weird dialogue. But sure enough, fighting ensues. Toad gets in on it. There's blasting back and forth. It is what it is. The X-Men try to talk him over it. Scarlet Witch is demanding they hand over Quicksilver, but obviously they've not actually killed him or anything like that. Professor X has just got him in a daze, and he lets him out, lets him go. And the team are, Professor X is basically, okay, clearly Magneto has something on them. There's a reason why they're being loyal, because they seem like decent mutants otherwise. And again, we know they end up being good guys, so clearly we're going down that path.
Yeah.
But Namor's like, you know what, sod this, I want nothing to do with any of this. He even says, not since I lost my heart to Sue Storm have I seen such a beauty as the Scarlet Witch, but I dare not love another surface female. I dare not become vulnerable again. And he basically says, I will never align with mutants or humans. I am honorable only to Atlantis. And he runs back off into the ocean. Not before, of course, he gets caught in a tractor beam by Magneto off his big magnet, and he just resists it so much that the entire thing explodes. And then he swims off into the ocean. And Professor X, no, this is a win. As long as Namor's not with the others, it's a win. So that's his thing. The only other thing I want to point out here is that as they're running away, the villains get into what is it he calls it? Silence, no one escapes Magneto. He merely escaped with vengeance. Toad into the Magno ship. The Magno ship.
Oh, jeez.
And that is the end of X-Men issue 6. What a ride. I mean, I have fun reading it. There's some fun stuff in there. It is definitely long-winded because of the Silver Age style of writing, but and there was definitely a few dated things in this. Every time Namor spoke about Scarlet Witch, it felt like, having her start off with cooking for everyone and the way they were kind of talking about it. I don't know. There's definitely those dated elements.
Of a female.
But it definitely comes across like a kids' TV show from the 90s where the villains just keep trying things every issue or every episode, and it's just like they always lose. It's that kids' TV mentality of just they're constantly trying new plots and schemes and never succeeding. So it's a bit formulaic in that sense, but there are some little things. They're clearly building up to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver leaving Magneto. Something which I think actually gets more involved in, obviously, Avengers, because that's where they really became their own thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, not a bad issue. So, X-Men issue 6, I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Wow.
For banter and anarchy and antics. But that was the last book of the week, which means we are going to talk about our favourite stuff of the week. This is our favourite panel/moment, favourite cover, favourite art, and top 5 books of the week, as we do every single episode, more or less. So, best moment/panel of the week, Matt, what you got?
It's when John yells out it's Unity Day, and you get the whole splash of everyone. It's a single page.
Yeah, that's fair.
Looks really good.
Cara, what you got?
I think I'm going to go with the 3-panel sequence from Jimmy Olsen with the assassination decoy.
Oh.
No, the with it's where from where Metamorpho lifts up the blinds in front of the window to be like, I don't, now that you think about it, and then gunshots.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually with Superman as well, but I'm going with Superman. I'm going with Jor-El saying he did it. He brought the universe together.
That's a good one too.
That was a great moment. So, best cover of the week. I was not sure what to go with this week, but I think I've landed on the Batman variant by Clay Mann. I think I'll go with that. What you got, Connor?
It's decent. Sorry, Matt. Were you a bit eager?
No,
there?
I just want to see what it looks like. It looks good. It's all purpley.
It's nice. It's actually because I was just looking through them and I pulled out like a bunch, and that was like my 5th favorite, which says a lot about how many covers I like. Because it's a good cover still. I'm actually gonna go with the regular Jimmy Olsen cover. All white with the text and yeah, it's really stylized and I like it. Stands out.
Yeah, I like the Jimmy Olsen variant, but I didn't see the Superman variant until today. My shop didn't get any of those in, and it's definitely the Superman Adam Hughes variant. He's breaking through a wall. Yeah, he's breaking through a wall. Bad guys have Lois, it looks like, but she's just got a smile on her face. Yeah, I really like it.
It's a nice image. Irrelevant to the issue, of course. Variants often are, but
yeah. But it's just the look of confidence on Lois's face.
I point it out there because Lois isn't even in the book, which is why it's particularly egregious.
Some great covers though. The Aquaman variant, another Middleton. It's always great. There's a Coipel Justice League variant, which is pretty nice.
Yep.
And the Supergirl variant, which I would have sworn was Art Gem.
It's not?
It's not, no. And I actually think I can tell. I think the body proportions are a little bit weird.
I don't. I'm looking at it now.
No, I do. I think her boobs look oddly kind of upwards pointing. It's kind of a weird shape to me.
No, because her back's arched, so she's pointing out.
Yeah, but it's like it's sort of also angling towards the front. It feels wrong to me. It looks off.
Fair enough. I feel like she is twisting the top half of her body though, and you can see that in the dress skirt.
Nah, it looks separate.
The
way the S is facing us feels unnatural to me. So no, I have to write that one off because it looks something weird's going on. But yeah. So best art of the week then, Matt.
Ooh, this one's kind of tough. Clay Mann was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Reis a lot. Supergirl was decent. Justice League. But I think I'm going to give it to Lex Luthor. The Hitch art in that one. It's really good. Just barely edges out Clay Mann.
Yeah, I think I have to go with Batman myself. I think I have to go with Clay Mann. Supergirl I really like, Aquaman I really like, but everything had their faults. Even Man had his faults in Batman, but I think the more memorable like art for me this week was his sort of splash pages and his sunsets and moonlights and all that stuff. Connor?
I'm going to be a self-parody at this point because I'm going with Jimmy Olsen again. I think Lieber's stuff is fantastic.
All right. Top 5 books of the week, Matt.
Number 1 is Superman. Number 2 is You're the Villain, Luthor. 3 is Jimmy, I think. Yeah, Jimmy, and then Batman, and then Supergirl? Sure. We'll go Supergirl. I can't remember my ratings all the way, so they're all about the same anyways.
Cara, what's yours?
Unsurprisingly, my number 1 is Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
This actually gets a little bit interesting here for me between 2 and 3 because it's Aquaman or Justice League, and I think I rated them both the same, maybe. But Aquaman has that whole section that pulls it down, whereas Justice League it doesn't quite hit the same heights that Aquaman does this issue. I think I'll edge it to Justice League for being slightly more consistent, and then Aquaman at 3. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
You read more stuff than that.
Oh, I suppose technically I read Batman, but I forgot, to be honest with you.
Bloody hell.
But that's all I read, though. I only read 4.
You read 4 books this week? All right.
Yeah.
All right. I will go with Superman at number 1, Aquaman at number 2. I think Batman at number 3. Supergirl at number 4, Justice League at number 5. Yeah, there we go. That's my picks. As Connor's seething over there that Jimmy Olsen's been left off.
To be honest, I wasn't even listening to what your picks were. I genuinely wasn't paying attention enough to even notice that it was left off.
Bloody typical. But that has been our picks. Did not ask anyone on Twitter. It may have slipped my mind to.
Yeah. He remembered to make a jab about it being Matt's favourite day of the year, but forgot to ask.
Yeah, but that was like 20 minutes before we were supposed to start recording, so I thought it's too late to ask now. I'll just make my joke.
Yeah.
I'll just crack my joke about Batman Day.
Speaking of Batman Day,
yeah, we're going to do a little section here about Batman Day, or more specifically talking about the potential new writers of Batman. And then I actually want to just briefly mention something else as well, actually, after that. Which I should have done at the start, but I forgot about it.
What a terrible person.
Matt, are you excited by the prospect, if it is James Tynion writing Batman, even if it is just for, the next 15 issues, are you, which, because we're going to single shipping, so it would be a year or so of him on the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to go to single shipping as soon as he takes over?
January is what they've always been saying, yeah.
Yeah. Unless they've changed their minds, that everything's supposed to be going single in January.
Yeah, because I also heard that if Tynion takes over, he does that, and then they're going to relaunch like they did Superman.
It's just been confirmed.
Oh.
Is it?
Yep, in the past,
good look.
like half hour or so.
There we go. News, breaking news.
It was announced at that Barnes & Noble signing.
Yeah.
Didio was there and announced that Tynion is taking over.
Do you know what?
Obviously, didn't the other bit that is speculation that we're talking about as to up to 100, but he is taking over from 86, which is January.
Do you know what? This is both good and bad. It's a double. It's kind of like Tomasi on Detective, although that ended up being much worse because we ended up all dropping it. But it's a double-edged sword in that, okay, he's solid, he'll probably do a good job, and it's maybe going to be more of a solo Batman thing compared to his Detective run, but it's also less exciting because he's already done some Batman before. Like, it's almost, I'm
actually quite excited because it is a solo Batman, and Detective, well, Batman was there, don't get me wrong, it was a part of that book, but it was such a team book that I'm really intrigued to see what he does on a Batman run as opposed to a team Detective book run. I think it'd be very different.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited by that.
Okay, well, we don't have to speculate that much anymore then, because
that news isn't. It's not even being picked up by the sites yet.
It's being tweeted about. There's pictures of it.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, like when I googled it, nothing's coming up thus far.
It's got Saturday and they're all slacking. No one's in the office.
So, and now the dilemma is: do I stop getting it physically? Or do I want it for the Tynion stuff?
Well, I mean, if they're going to relaunch it after 100, you may as well go to 100 and have the full run.
Yeah, that's those guys.
So that's the rumor that the certain site is reporting is that he'll be going up to 100 and doing the 100th issue special, which will be setting up the new Batman, who will be under the cowl.
I like the idea of going to a new Batman and having a new writer, as long as it's not someone stupid and it's not written by someone like Lobdell.
Yeah. Because they're saying that the new Batman is going to be a black man, is what the rumor is saying, and they actually made a point of saying Bendis is actively not writing this one, because I know he has a reputation for introducing those characters and doing that. So they're making a point of saying Bendis is.
Well, that's interesting. So it's going to be who could it be then? Like, assuming it's going to be another character we already know.
Well, if it's, I heard that it was going to be someone we know. And that my first was to go to Luke Fox. We haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah, but would that be exciting?
And it's the same about like Duke, right? Is that exciting?
If it's Duke, I'm done. Like, that's it. I'm not even kidding.
I feel like someone like Black Lightning would be far more interesting.
I think Black Lightning is a valid choice, especially given their current relationship going on in Outsiders.
Yeah, current. See what you did there.
And I'm not against the idea that if it is Black Lightning, say. So, I mean, maybe on the one hand, maybe he loses his powers and that's why he in part chose to do it. But I'm not against the idea of like Black Lightning becoming the Batman and still using his powers. Like, I'm not against that as an idea.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that was just that was akin to like when in Bendis' Daredevil, when Matt stopped being Daredevil and Iron Fist took over, right? And you saw Daredevil with the Iron Fist chi. That was pretty cool.
I think honestly, I would prefer. First of all, Duke's too young, I think, to be Batman anyway, so I don't think it would be him.
Yeah.
But I think I would prefer a new character, to be honest. I think I'd prefer that if in Tynion's run he introduces someone who's built up over 15 issues. I think I'd prefer that as like someone from scratch who's.
That could well be what they do.
Yeah.
That's what made me think though of Luke Fox. The last time we've seen him was in Detective, and he was brought on to be this,
Tynion does like him.
He does. So if he built him up again, sure, he's not a brand new character. The other one was the Batwing. The other one I heard was the Batwing from New 52. But we literally have not seen him
since
I think his title. Yeah. Luke Fox is just such an uninteresting choice for me.
I tend to agree, but I'm willing to see what Tynion does.
I'd rather someone new. I think if they introduce someone new, in the same way that John Stewart was kind of introduced in Green Lantern before he became Green Lantern. Hal was still the Green Lantern for some time.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, we're introducing someone who's going to become the new.
It's why I actually think Black Lightning would be a good choice, because obviously he's been around a lot longer in this context. Don't get me wrong, but in the sense of, okay, we're introducing him. He's in the Outsiders. He's pairing off with Batman. They've kind of got a mentor relationship going on.
And obviously, this wouldn't be the official name of the book, but you could totally we could dub it the era of Bat Lightning.
I was just gonna say
Bat Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, I like that one. Those are my top two in the clubhouse right now.
And
are Luke and
Black Lightning. Around a touch. I know Matt was a little disappointed earlier that our Lord and Savior Tom Taylor isn't writing the new Batman.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could be on the new issue 1.
Yeah, he could be 100 onwards.
Yeah.
Or 101 onwards, or just 1 onwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he seems to be doubling down on his Suicide Squad taking preference.
Yeah, but this would be another year away.
This will be about June or July of 2021.
Yeah.
No, it'll be more like March, April.
Will it? Starts in January and it'll be 15 issues.
Yeah, 12 is a year. You're right.
No, I was thinking of. I'm thinking it was going to be slightly longer for some reason.
So Connor was wrong. Let's just take what for what it was.
So do we want to still guess what the thing? Have we seen the thing that King wanted to do and had to go get permission? Has that happened yet?
I don't think it's happened yet. I mean, unless the Alfred thing sticks, but I don't think the Alfred thing is stick. I think the Alfred thing's a cop out. I think it's a red herring.
Probably. I did see him posting something on Instagram, saying, "Oh, hey, getting back to that stuff with the button."
Mm-hmm.
Well, my guess would be this: if we're getting a new Batman with number 1, with 101, I'm going to call it 101, even if it's renumbered. I'm just going to call it 101 for the sake of the context of where we are. Yeah. If we're getting a new Batman with 101, I have to imagine the thing that changes Batman forever is the reason why we're getting a new Batman. So I would actually almost go back to the idea of him just retiring with Catwoman again and being married.
The only thing that makes that feel off to me now is, okay, well, that's happening in a side book. The main book is still going to have Batman doing shit for 15 issues under Tynion.
Sure, that's true.
That if that had happened in issue, hypothetically issue 100 of Batman, and then issue 1 or 101 is okay, well, new Batman. That makes perfect sense. Doing it in this side book, but while Batman's still going on, and not everyone's going to be reading Batman Catwoman because
unless the side book is about like him and Catwoman setting this up, but it's known from the start that that's what's going to happen. So Batman is effectively about him finding his replacement, knowing that that's where it's going.
It could be. We'll hear more about this over the next couple of months because. We haven't even had the solicited yet. That'll come next month. We'll get at least a bit more information then, and then we'll get interviews close to the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, so... No. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm optimistic, because I think Tynion's a really solid writer, if nothing else, and I'm intrigued to see what he does on a solo Bat book, because he's been on team stuff for a while now, between Detective Comics, Justice League Dark, Justice League...
I think I like his run, even if it is just a short 15-issue thing.
Yeah, me too.
That said, issue 100 I expect won't just be him. I feel like issue 100 will probably have a lot of specials and backups.
I suspect it will also have whoever the new writer is will have a little story at the end.
Yeah. It won't be maybe quite as big as one of the 1000s, but it'll be kind of like a
It'll be at least
because
obviously all the the 25, 50, and 75s have all been bigger. It'll be at the very least on par with those.
I think it'll be bigger than that, but not 1000 issue level.
So think about 50 pages.
I'm thinking like $7-8, 50, 60 pages. That's my guess. For issue 100.
Seems pretty reasonable.
That's my guess. But hey, so then another thing I just wanted to briefly mention. This is diving into TV stuff. I think people will be upset if I don't bring up the Tom Welling news for the crossover.
Yes.
And Erica Durant's.
I'm so excited.
Who, to be fair, has already been in Supergirl, so it's not even that much of a shock. But she's confirmed. She's confirmed that she's joining them as Lois, which means we officially have 3 Supermen in the show between Brandon Routh, Tyler Hoechlin, and now Tom Welling.
Tom Welling.
And I know Pete is not a huge fan of Smallville. And I have a soft spot for it for reasons, but it's not good. But absolutely, this is the right choice to get them involved on this level of thing, and have them there and have that legacy is kind of what we love about DC, right?
Yep, I want to see him playing off of Melissa's Supergirl, and that's it.
Do you think they'll actually put him in the suit this time, the coward, since they never did it on the actual show?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, and there's gonna be a line about it, like, "Oh, you look good in that."
Oh, sure.
In a suit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Joke, yeah. Because for those of us for anyone who wants to argue he was in the suit in the finale episode, no. There was wide shots of a CG character in a suit. Every shot of him was a close up of the face. You never saw him in the suit.
I still haven't seen that.
Really?
So yeah.
Well, Matt's got something to do.
Hey Matt, I will say this. Smallville is a garbage show, right? And it gets worse and worse as it goes on. I will say this. The final scene is exactly the scene that it should have ended with. Unfortunately, everything up until it is terrible.
I rage quit in the 8th season when we had Jimmy Olsen's secret agent and the Doomsday BS.
Did you miss the blue and gold stuff?
Yeah, I didn't see any of the Justice Society things.
So you missed all the genuinely good stuff out of those last couple of seasons. There is a couple of bits.
I rage quit. I was like, this show has gotten way worse. Like, even for my standard, and I like early Smallville seasons. I stand up for seasons 3 through 5 as like good Superman, because we didn't have good Superman in the comics at that point. It was decent, but that's where I got my fix. So
I'm on record as it's not a good show.
No,
but I kind of love it, and it's what got me into comics personally. Not any of the movies. It was I like this well enough that I want to see more of these characters.
Yeah, just think if you never watched Smallville, this podcast would just be me and Matt, and that doesn't sound so bad. Maybe Smallville. That's another thing Smallville has to answer for.
Well, who knows? Maybe it's a fixed point in time. Maybe I'd have found something else that had got me into it.
It's funny that the when I first started with my wife, I was still watching Smallville, and it was when Lana was just terrible, right?
So the whole time.
Well, like extra terrible. And I would yell at the TV, like, get her off my screen. So now anytime Kristen Crook shows up on anything, my wife will yell, get her off his TV as a callback.
That's great.
Of all that. Still, though, Rosenbaum as Lex is still one of my all-time favorite.
Oh, it's
Lex
great,
Luthor's.
yeah.
He's what's his name? John Glover as Lionel. I thought he's given us a worthy.
Well,
he was kind of Lex.
John Glover is basically the best actor in the show, and there wasn't really much competition.
Ma and Pa Kent, I always felt they casted right.
Yeah.
John Snyder.
They were fine.
And
it's all the teen characters. They cast people who couldn't act, and their scripts were terrible mishmashes of Monster of the Week episodes. It's not a good show.
I didn't mind the Monster of the Week stuff. It's comparable to Riverdale, right? I don't feel good watching it, but I like it. There's a part of me that's like
I've watched the whole damn show. I can't shit on it that much, even though it's terrible.
Even I put it up with like Arrow. There's some real bad Arrow stuff. I
enjoy Smallville more than Arrow.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Anything like that's not Arrow that's come out from CW, I would put up. I put Smallville underneath those. So your Supergirls, your Legends, and all of that. I put those Smallville there, but it's better than Arrow. Even when Arrow was at its best, I still think I preferred. And I mean, it gave us, like I got my Legion of Superheroes episode when no one was doing that.
That's a great episode.
Yeah. Maybe Morgan Edge a thing. The Red Kryptonite.
It's one of those things. Like DC, we talk about legacy so much, and without that show, none of the current CW verse exists.
No.
Without Smallville, we do not have Bebo.
Oh, I don't care. I hate this argument. I don't care why things exist. Everyone always says, "Oh, Firefly wouldn't exist without Star Wars." I don't care. I still prefer it.
I'm not saying you can't prefer.
But you still have to pay.
I obviously I'm saying I prefer Legends, but I'm saying
I don't have to pay shit to no one.
Again, but and Erica Durance is my second favorite Lois after Terry Hatcher.
She's a good one.
So to just get her back as Lois, this Lois from this past season, she's made a strong push.
Let's see if she comes back with the hammer.
Very short.
It was a hammer.
Yeah. Yeah. She had to wield the hammer, so she was a good Lois. But yeah, Tom Welling is I do enjoy him.
Here's a question: Did they squeeze in "Somebody Save Me Again"? The Remy Zero song.
Yes.
When you see him, you'll have to hear. It might not be the song, but it'll be some version of it. So it's. Yeah.
I wonder if they do it slightly differently, because obviously they had that in the last crossover. So I wonder if they do it just slightly differently. But
yeah.
Either way, I'm down for it.
So, and you have Ralph showing up as an older Superman, which, opens up. Is the Richard Donner verse part of this? Is he?
I think so. Yeah. In this sense of multiversal crisis, yeah, definitely. You've got bloody Conroy's in there as Bruce Wayne.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. Is he going to be more Earth X Superman? Or just open that because. Alden was wondering if we get some type of homage to Christopher Reeve, in there, or even Henry Cavill. Cavill definitely not. I feel
Cavill's not.
Can you imagine if Cavill just shows up complete with mustache?
You know what though?
Hey, I am shocked.
I don't want to get my hopes up, but I think there'd be something fun to do.
I am shocked there's not been a mustache show yet. In fact, I am going to make a bet right now and say that at some point Brandon Routh or Tom Welling is going to crack a joke about how they tried to have a mustache at one point, but it didn't work.
I hope one of them just goes for it. Grow the mustache. Come out in the Superman suit with the mustache. Pull it off.
Side tangent a bit as we do. Pete, earlier in the week had this, popular. What was it? Unpopular take, popular take about the DCEU and whatnot. And just, I dare say that I don't want them connected right now, the movies, but as long as they keep doing the TV shows and keep them connected, that's where I'm getting my connected universe fix from the screen, whatever. So as long as they keep doing stuff like this, I know Arrow's going away. Right, but it looks like Supergirl's going for another couple and Legends. Maybe some spinoffs out of there. I think that's okay. The Flash. You know.
Yeah, they've already said they've got another one in the works. Like they're developing another DC show for probably next season.
Yeah, you know, and I'm sure Stargirl will play in somewhere because you have the, you know, the multiverse as it were. So if the movies just want to go, you know, Matt Reeves is a one-off, Joker's a one-off.
Hey,
they're not
actually,
connected.
that's a good point.
okay.
Actually, if we're going to get a cameo from the DC Universe shows, the crossover, you know, Crisis is probably the time to like have a Titans cameo or have, you know, the Doom Patrol like be like just show up. I love the idea.
Of, I want an animated little Teen Titans Go segment, just so them just pop it.
What I love the idea of the Doom Patrol show up for a split second, have Robot go what the and then just have him like be like taken away by a portal. So the idea is that they tease the F bomb that he always drops, but you obviously don't get to hear it because it's CW. Yeah. That would amuse me.
Yeah. Just before we finish, we actually got the official press release about Tynion now.
Okay, wrap it back round.
Yeah, just wrap it back round as to what is it? Tony Daniel is going to be the artist with him.
Okay.
Or at least at first. But that's who they're telling. He said, Tynion saying, I want to dig deep into the Bat himself, tell an epic story that pushed him to his absolute limits. Tell a Batman story like the kinds I grew up loving, one that embraces the horror and gothic elegance of Gotham and dives deep into Batman's greatest villains.
I do like the use of the word horror in there.
And gothic elegance.
I'm there for this. He's around my age, so that means we grew up with the same version of Batman. And I do like his Batman, you know.
Yeah.
So this sounds, you know, I always say this. It sounds like my kind of thing. Just like White Knight is. And for those of you, I have someone grilling me on Twitter right now why my hatred of Batman. Mostly it's a joke. It does irritate me a little bit, right? But there are aspects of Batman I like. Dick Grayson's one of my favorite characters, right? And I loved when he was Batman.
I know how it feels. There are many people who take my hate of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings very seriously. I get it.
Yeah, but as a Star Wars fan, I do take your hatred of Star Wars a bit. Like you really mean most of what you're saying. On the inverse, you should say, or converse, whatever one. I dislike Batman in certain stories. I don't outright, you know, like if I really hated Batman, I'd be like Connor and just not read it, you know, like, you know, but it still goes. So.
All right. Well, I probably should have done this at the end of the other section, but I do have to tell you what's coming next week. So we'll round out the show. We'll tell you what's coming.
Quite a bit, if I recall.
Yeah. So we got Action Comics 1015. We got Batgirl 39, Batman Beyond 36, Batman Curse of the White Knight issue 3. We have Batman Superman issue 2. We have Books of Magic issue 12 is out for those of you following that stuff. We have Detective Comics 1012. We have Dial H for Hero issue 7. We have The Flash number 79. Freedom Fighters issue 9. Harleen issue 1.
Still doing that one?
Yeah, I wasn't here for the last one, and I don't think I did issue 7. So I still haven't read it from last month.
Okay.
I gotta get caught up on that. So, yeah, but we have Harleen. It's got a nice variant.
Well, that's the Cedric one, right, Harleen?
Yep.
So that's going to be pretty. We have Justice League Dark issue 15. We have Red Hood Outlaw 38, Connor's favorite. We have Shazam number 7, which is officially coming out next week. Whoa, baby! The Terrifics number 20 is out, and Wonder Woman 79 is also there to round out the books.
That leaves us with 10 books. 11 if either of you are doing Terrifics. I'm not sure.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we're done.
So we got 10 books between us next week.
Okay,
so
that's not
healthy.
too bad. Yeah, healthy amount.
Cedric just outdoes himself.
I know.
Yeah, I put in the order in my shop, and I can't wait because I think it's a different sized one as well.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get this physically. I don't know. I might have to wait on it. I don't know.
I'm getting it physically because when they did, I don't know what size it is. It's the same one as Batman Damned. Yeah. But that widescreen format was horrible digitally. Like with the, I just hated it.
It's an extra $8. That's going to be hard to justify.
It is. Cedric's art.
To my, bookkeeper.
Despite my misgivings about reading Harley books, I will definitely be trying that. So.
Well, again, this is where I've evolved to. If it's a creator tied to it that I enjoy, like Sejic so far. I mean, I don't know about his writing style, but his art style definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. And I out of all the Harley books that they announced, when they announced this was the one I was most drawn to. So, just about what he says. But man, Crystal White Knight, Batman, Superman, Batgirl, action.
I think I have a reasonable guess at who's winning Best Art next week.
You don't know. I mean, someone could pull out an upset.
Hey, Murphy could put up a fight.
We get an upset. I mean, maybe someone like Brett Booth just comes in and hey, I can actually do art now. I took an art class over the summer.
Hold your tongue, sir. Hold your tongue, sir.
Anyway, that's what's coming next week. So we got 10 books. I've got 9 of those myself. So busy week. But you can look forward to our thoughts on those books next week. And by all means, let us know what you thought of the books that we did this week in the comments or on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Follow us on there. Rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to us. It helps us out a lot. It makes more people find us, spreads, it shares the show out a little bit more. So give us a nice 5-star review and rating on there. You can, of course, as I mentioned earlier, go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us financially for as little as $1 per month to ensure all the podcasts keep coming, including this one, and feel warm and fuzzy. Mildly fuzzy, you might say. But that is us. And, that's per usual. Check out all the content we have. If you're interested in movie review podcasts or whatever, there's a horror movie one called Screams After Midnight with myself and Tim. There's a sci-fi one called The Ace with myself and Tara. Me and Carl review a bunch of TV every week. Maybe you're interested in some of this stuff. So go and have a look. But otherwise, that is us. That's episode 173 of Comics from the Multiverse. So we'll see you for 174 next week. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading comics, guys. And always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
And happy Batman Day.